Let it shine, let it shine, shine. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Ondo State. Good morning. Over 87 million Nigerians will be going to the poll today to elect a new president. And not just the election of a new president, Nigerians will also be electing people who will represent them in both houses of the National Assembly, and that is the Senate and, of course, the House of Representatives. So today, like I said, in this election, INEC revealed that over 93 million Nigerians registered to vote, but of that particular figure, only 87.2 million people were able to collect their PVC, with Lagos leading on the chart of the highest number of PVCs collected. And it will interest you to know that in this particular election, the young people, of course, when I say the young people, I mean the youth and, of course, students. They are the largest block on the register voter. Over 37 million youth are registered to vote in this particular election. We have around 26 million students who are also registered to vote in this election. So we're to see how this large number of registered youth will affect or impact the outcome of the elections at the end of the day when results are announced. And let me quickly tell you that we have 18 presidential candidates in this election. Of course, many people have argued whether this is a 4-horse race or whether this is a 3-horse race, but the other political parties are also there. We have the likes of Kola Abiola, who is representing the People's Redemption Party, and many of them, Adebayo, who is from Ondo State, who is the candidate of the SDP, and many of them like that. Of course, the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, who has contested the presidential election. He has contested 6 times as president. The first time that Atiku Abubakar contested was in 1992, when the election that MK Abiola was presumed to have won. But Atiku also was running mate. He served twice as vice president under Obasanjo, 1999 to 2003 and 2003 to 2007. He contested, if you recall, on the platform of the Defunct Action Congress in 2007. And he also ran against Buhari in 2019 when he went back to the People's Democratic Party. Atiku has been a member of at some point he was a member of the APC, and then he went back to the People's Democratic Party. So also today in this election, we have the presidential candidate of the New Nigerian People's Party, that is Rabiu Kwankwaso, who is a former governor of Kano State. While he was governor, also after that, he served as the Minister of Defense between 2003 and 2007. He is the candidate of the New Nigerian People's Party, the party known by most people as NNPP. Don't forget Peter Obi, a former governor of Anambra State, who is the candidate of Labour Party. He's from Anambra, and he has been the governor of Anambra. He also served at some point in the government of the former president Goodluck Jonathan. Peter Obi also at some point was a member of ABGA, that is All Progressives Grand Alliance, and at some point it defected to the People's Democratic Party, and then later went to Labour Party, and today is the candidate of Labour Party. And of course, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was at some point a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria around in the early 90s, and then later when Nigeria returned to civil rule in 1999, he became the governor of Lagos State for 2 terms. That is between 1999 and 2003, and 2003 to 2007. At the time that all the other governors on the platform of the defunct Alliance for Democracy, that is ADD, lost out in 2003. He was the only surviving governor on the platform of the party at the time, and after that time he has not contested any elected position until now. But at some point he was the leader of Action Congress AC, and then to ACN, Action Congress of Nigeria, before he teamed up with other people, some splinter of the People's Democratic Party, and then the CPC to form APC, All Progressives Congress, in 2013. And then in 2015 they came to power on the platform of the party, and Muhammadu Buhari became president, recontested again in 2019, and is still the incumbent president. So these are the people that some of the people that are contesting today, some of the candidates of the major political parties who are contesting today. And let me quickly also say that Nigerians will be going to the poll in over 176,000 polling units today across the country. 176,846 polling units, and that's in over 8,000 wards across the country. And just we have heard before the election, in the build up to the election, we have heard from INEC, from security agencies, that today's elections, that Nigerian can rest assured that the elections are going to be peaceful. And that is why for this election, over 425,000 security personnel, besides the DSS and the military, have been deployed. We have for the police 310,973 policemen who will be working with 1,240 patrol vans, patrol vehicles, and also the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps as 51,000 officers deployed for this election. The Federal Road Safety is not left out. They have 21,000 officers. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, that's the NDLA, has over 9,000, specifically 9,447 officers deployed for this election. EFCC is also part of this election. They have deployed 350 officers. But what I keep wondering about is how 350 officers of the EFCC are going to be effective, because one of the things we've had is that they'll be working in conjunction with the police to call vote buying. But I don't know how 350 will be spread across the over 176,000 polling units to ensure that they are effective. Immigration is also part of these. The Nigerian immigration, they have 21,000 officers deployed for this election. And of course, the Nigerian Correctional Service, what we used to call Nigerian Prison Service, also has around 11,336 officers deployed for this election. In total, that is around 425,106 security personnel deployed for the election. And this is not mentioning what the Nigerian Army and the DSS, the Department of State Security, have deployed for the election.
So aki gbogbo ẹ̀yin wa níbi gbogbo tí ẹ ti ń gbọ́ wa pátápátá pé ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò èyí tí a ti máa mú bí ètò ìdìbò tòní bí ó ṣe wá máa wá sí etí ìgbọ̀nyín tá a máa mú wá fún yín eléyìí tí a máa ń ṣe ní gbogbo àsìkò ètò ìdìbò nílé iṣẹ́ rédíò Àdàbà kí n pẹ́ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò náà. Lónìí àwọn ọmọ Nàìjíríà wọ́n jáde láti dìbò fún ààrẹ àti àwọn ọmọ ilé-ìgbìmọ̀ aṣòfin àpapọ̀ ti ilé-ìgbìmọ̀ aṣòfin àgbà yẹn Senate àti ti House of Representatives. Yóò lé ní bí bíi mílíọ̀nù mẹ́tàdínláàádọ́rùn-ún àwọn ọmọ orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà tí ó jáde lónìí láti wá dìbò. Nínú wọn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ọ̀dọ́ bíi mílíọ̀nù mẹ́tàdínlógójì àwọn ọ̀dọ́ ni wọ́n forúkọ sílẹ̀ fún ètò ìdìbò tòní tí wọ́n ó jáde láti bò. Lára wọn bíi àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ bíi mílíọ̀nù mẹ́rìndínlọ́gbọ̀n níbẹ̀ nínú wọn. Lónìí nínú ètò ìdìbò yan ààrẹ àwọn olùdíje bíi méjìdínlógún àwọn ni ó díje lónìí sí ipò ààrẹ lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí nínú èyí tí a ti dìbò fún ẹnìkan tí ó wọlé nínú wọn. Tí a bá rántí àwọn tí ó ṣe pàtàkì tó jẹ́ pọ́n jẹ́ aṣáájú nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú wọn tí wọ́n fẹ́ díje lára wọn ni Alhaji Atiku Abubakar tí ó díje ní abẹ́ ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP. Tí a bá wò Alhaji Atiku Abubakar ó ti díje lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́fà ní orílẹ̀-èdè yìí láti di ààrẹ. Ní àgbà àkọ́kọ́ ó díje nígbà pẹ̀lú MKO Abiola láyé SDP ní ọdún 1992. Ó sì tún di igbákejì ààrẹ fún Ọbásanjọ́ láàrin ọdún 1999 sí ọdún 2003 àti 2003 sí ọdún 2007. Tí a bá wo Alhaji Atiku Abubakar ó ti pẹ́ nínú òṣèlú dáadáa. Ní àsìkò kan nígbà tí ó kúrò nínú PDP ó díje nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú Action Congress nígbà yẹn lọ́dún 2007. Ní ọdún 2019 ó díje pẹ̀lú ẹni tí ń bẹ nípò báyìí ìyẹn Muhammadu Buhari tí ó wà nípò báyìí. Ó tinú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP wá sínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú AC. Nígbà lẹ́yìn náà ló tún padà sínú PDP kó tó tún pé wá sínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú APC. Lẹ́yìn yìí ló tún padà sínú ẹgbẹ́ PDP láti díje báyìí sí ipò ààrẹ lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà. Tí a bá wo ẹnì kejì náà tí ó tún wà ń bẹ̀ náà ni ẹni tí yóò díje lábẹ́ ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú New Nigerian People's Party èyí tí a mọ̀ sí NNPP ìyẹn Rabiu Kwankwaso. Ó jẹ́ gómìnà nígbà kan rí nípínlẹ̀ Kano tó sì jẹ́ pé òun náà ti díje ní àwọn inú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú lọ́kọ̀ọ̀kan láti di ààrẹ nígbà kan. Peter Obi ni ó tún jẹ́ ọ̀kan lára.
Yemi, I'm sorry to cut in. We are seeing now wives of the candidates of the People's Democratic Party and of course candidate of the APC. That is Titi Abubakar. In Yola now is already at a polling unit, and we can see Oluremi Tinubu too in Lagos already at a polling unit. I think the two of them are ready for accreditation now and will be voting any moment now.
Tí a bá wò ẹ́ rí i pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn èèyàn náà ti jáde láti dìbò lónìí. Lára àwọn tí wọ́n ti dé ibi ìdìbò wọn ni ìyàwó olùdíje sípò ààrẹ fún ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP ìyẹn Titi Abubakar àti ìyàwó olùdíje nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú APC ìyẹn Olúrẹ̀mí Tinubu. Wọ́n ti wà ní ibùdó ìdìbò wọn láti ṣe àyẹ̀wò láti dìbò lénìí. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ṣe ń sọ lọ, Peter Obi jẹ́ gómìnà kan nípínlẹ̀ Anambra nígbà kan rí, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ó sì jẹ́ nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú APGA nígbà náà. Lẹ́yìn eléyìí ni ó tún kúrò ń bẹ̀ lọ sínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP tí ó jẹ́ igbákejì olùdíje sípò ààrẹ fún Atiku Abubakar ní ọdún 2019. Èyí ló wá sínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú Labour Party tó sì jẹ́ pé ó tún ṣe iṣẹ́ náà ní ẹnu ìjọba Jonathan nígbà tí ìjọba Jonathan wà lórí àga ìjọba. Ẹnì kẹta tí a tún mẹ́nubà ní Aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Tinubu. Ó jẹ́ sẹ́nẹ́tọ̀ ní àsìkò kan, bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni ó sì jẹ́ gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó láàrin ọdún 1999 sọdún 2003 àti 2003 sọdún 2007 nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú Alliance for Democracy ìyẹn AD ńgbà náà. Lẹ́yìn eléyìí ni wọ́n dá ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú AC ìyẹn Action Congress sílẹ̀ tí ó yí padà sí Action Congress of Nigeria. Lẹ́yìn eléyìí tún yí padà sí ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú APC níbi tí àwọn ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú kan ti parapọ̀ láti dá ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú APC sílẹ̀ lọ́dún 2013. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn olùdíje míì ló wà, méjìdínlógún ni ó díje lónìí sípò ààrẹ. Àwọn ibùdó ètò ìdìbò tó lé ní ẹgbẹ̀rún mẹ́rìndínláàádọ́jọ ni wọ́n ti dìbò lẹ́ni tó sì jẹ́ pé bíi ẹgbẹ̀rún mẹ́jọ wọ́ọ̀dù ni wọ́n ti dìbò orílẹ̀-èdè yìí.
Yemi, sorry please, we're seeing candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, already at this polling unit also. At the moment, he's speaking with journalists at this polling unit, and the people in our newsroom are working on this. Don't forget that many of these major contenders today will be bringing you their interviews in the course of this coverage to get a feel of what they think about the process, what they have seen so far. We are working on that at the moment to get to get some of these interviews to you. And like we said before today, that our reporters are spread across 3 states. That is Osun State, Ekiti State, and of course Ondo State. And they will be calling in any moment now to let us know what is happening in the environment in the area they are covering, because as you can see, voting has commencing virtually all the areas. So we'll be expecting your call to give us a sense of what is happening in the places that they are covering. Like we promised, we will be bringing to you some of the interviews with the major presidential candidate today, Atiku Abubakar, who I believe has cast his vote and is addressing newsmen at the moment. We'll get an interview. The people in our newsroom are working on that at the moment. We also, one of the features of this election that many Nigerians are happy about is the fact that with the introduction of BVAS, that is the bimodal verification system, that unlike previous presidential elections, where it would take, because I remember in 2015, election results were only announced, where finally the total results were finally announced, I think on a Tuesday. And then same happened in 2019. The only difference in 2019 was it was not in the afternoon, it was around 3 a.m. or thereabout in 2019, 3 a.m. on Tuesday that the results were announced. So with the introduction of BVAS, Nigerians are expecting that the results will be announced, will come in quickly, and Nigerians will know who will be the next president of Nigeria, who will be sworn in on May the 29th as the new president of Nigeria, who will be in charge of running the affairs of the country for the next 4 years.
tí a bá wò ní ìsìn gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹnìkejì mi ṣe wí olùdíje nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP yẹn Alhaji Atiku Abubakar wọ́n ti wà ní ibi tí wọ́n ti dìbò ní ìpínlẹ̀ Adamawa. Ó dàbí pé àwọn èèyàn wọ́n pọ̀ síbẹ̀ náà tí wọ́n tẹ̀lé wọn wá síbẹ̀ láti wá dìbò. Tí a bá wò ètò ìdìbò ti ọdún yìí gẹ́gẹ́ bí àṣewé yóò yàtọ̀ sí ti tẹ́lẹ̀, nítorí pé à ń retí pé ètò èsì ìdìbò ti ọdún yìí yóò yá, nítorí àwọn ẹ̀rọ èyí tí ṣàyẹ̀wò àwọn ìdìbò èyí tí wọ́n fẹ́ lò, àti pé ìmọ̀ gbogbo ń ṣe èyí tó ti tún ti dàgbà sí ju ti àwọn àti tàtẹ̀yìnwá èyí tí ó wáyé. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni àwọn akọ̀ròyìn wa lọ́kàn òjọ̀kan wọ́n máa mú ìròyìn wá fún wa láti gbogbo ibi èyí tí wọ́n wà láti wo bí nǹkan ṣe rí ń bẹ̀. Gbogbo bí nǹkan bá ṣe rí náà láti máa wọ́n mú wá fún yín. Bẹ́ẹ̀ sì ni gbogbo àwọn olùdíje náà tó máa ti ń díje á mú bí wọ́n ṣe díje àti ìfọ̀rọ̀wánilẹ́nuwò tí àwọn oníròyìn tí wọ́n ṣe fún wọn á máa mú wá fún yín lọ́kàn òjọ̀kan lónìí kí ẹ fetí sí iléeṣẹ́ rédíò Àdàbà.
All right, we're waiting for our reporters on the feed now. Wherever they are, I'm sure that they're also listening to us in the studio, monitoring what is happening from the studio, and we're waiting for them to call in and let us have a feel of what is going on in areas that we're covering today, Osun, Ondo and Ekiti. But this does not mean that we'll not also be bringing you reports from the other areas, other parts of the country. As you know, that our sister station, TVC Communications, is also everywhere monitoring today's election. So we'll be giving you reports across the country today regarding this presidential election and, of course, the National Assembly election. That is elections into the Senate and into the House of Representatives. And of particular note is the fact that election will not be taking place in a central district, I think Enugu is today, where in the build-up to the election, the candidate of Labour Party was murdered and then set ablaze. So the party wrote INEC requesting for a postponement so that they will be able to present another candidate for the election. And INEC had no choice, because that is what the law says. They had no choice but to accede to the request of the Labour Party. So INEC Chairman Mahmood Yakubu announced yesterday that the central election in Enugu East will now hold in alongside the governorship election in the state and across Nigeria, and of course the House of Assembly elections, which will be coming up in the next 2 weeks. That is on March the 11th.
tó tí a bá wò á rí i pé gbogbo àwọn ètò ìdìbò tí wáyé lónìí yàtọ̀ sí ètò ìdìbò ìyan ààrẹ òun náà ní ti ilé ìgbìmọ̀ asòfin àpapọ̀ yẹn sí ilé ìgbìmọ̀ asòfin àgbà senate àti ti house of representatives yàtọ̀ sí ẹkùn ìlà oòrùn Anambra èyí tí ètò náà tí kò tí ní wáyé nítorí ikú ẹni tí ó jẹ́ pé ó ń díje fún ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú Labour.
I think we have one of our reporters on the line now. Adeola Adekunle is joining us. Adeola is in Owo, is covering Owo and Ose. Hello, Adeola.
Hello, good morning.
You're the very first reporter to call in this morning. How are you doing?
Very well, I'm hoping.
So we've been monitoring your report since yesterday when you got to Owo and Ose. You've been sending in reports about the deployment of sensitive materials to the various wards and of course the various polling units. So so far with what you've seen this morning about deployment to the polling units, how quickly and how effectively was it done? Because we have complaints from some areas that materials were not quickly deployed to the polling units.
I've been to like 3 or 4 wards this morning. I've visited a few polling booths. I have not experienced such. What I only saw was that the materials were there as early as possible with the adult staff, even before 8 this morning. And at exactly 8:30 in some polling units, 8:33, 8:35, and 8:40 in other polling booths, polling units. The voting has commenced, and the exercise is actually going on smoothly. Preference were given to the less privileged, in particular some that are blind. I was able to see around 2 or 3 people that that they have deficiency in their sight, and they were allowed to exercise their franchise. They were given preferential treatment to do theirs before others. But the only thing I can also say is that the number of accredited or registered voters the number of people that I'm seeing on queue is not as the number of registered voters.
So what you're saying, we have less people coming out for the elections. Is that what you're saying, if I hear you correctly?
Yes. In particular, there's a place I saw that the 1,010 people are supposed to be voting, but then the people I saw there are not more than 300.
Oh, okay. So, but what I think you spoke with some people yesterday. I don't know if that report was from you or from Titi, who said some people complain that they will not be going out because there is no cash. Was that you?
Yes. No, not that there was no cash, but that they did not find their name. Talking about the adult staff, that they did not find their name on the list.
I'm not talking about adult staff. I'm talking about voters.
No.
Maybe that was Titi.
That wasn't me. That wasn't me.
Maybe you try and find out why some of these people are not going out. One of the things.
Okay. It's more. I reported something like that. I spoke with one elderly man who said, although he was speaking for people, he said he was going to go out to vote. But that when you say somebody has been fasting for 3 days and you expect that person to be on the game, he cited an example that way, that because there is no cash, that he went to the bank, there was nothing, and some people are also murmuring to him that they have no money because they are unable to get cash and they cannot eat. So how can they, if they cannot eat, how do you expect them to go to polls?
All right, Diola, can you tell us anything about security deployment in or you've been to only one local government today? Have you been to both?
I have not been to Ose. I'm on my way to Ose now. I'm about to get to Malege. I'm about to get to Malege. I've not been to Ose. But the security talking about the security, considering the level of those that are deployed, I'm yet to see it to commiserate to what we're told that were deployed. Everything is still going on smoothly.
We also like to find out, one of the reasons that has been adduced for the policy by CBN about this, I don't know if I should call it Naira swap or Naira, some people have called it Naira confiscation.
The design policy.
Yes, is that it will call vote buying. Let's see how, help us find out how effective that will be in some of the areas that you're covering.
I have my eyes and ears on the ground. I'm actually bringing my searchlight towards that to see if we will see anything like that.
All right, thank you very much. Adeola Yemi is waiting here to talk to you.
Adeola. A rí ní pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ìdí ní àtìrí tí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ yẹn ti tò tí wọ́n lè ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí dìbò láwọn ibì kan. Báwo ló ṣe rí ní ìgbàgbélẹ̀ òwò àti ọ̀sẹ̀?
Gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe sọ lédè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì, báyìí náà ló ṣe rí. Mo ti débi àwọn bíi wọ́ọ̀dù mẹ́ta sí mẹ́rin ní àárọ̀ yìí àti pàápàá àwọn polling booths bíi 10 sí 12. Gbogbo nǹkan tí mo sì rí òun náà ni pé àwọn elétò ìdìbò wọ́n tètè dé síbẹ̀ láti kó àwọn ètò àwọn nǹkan èlò ìdìbò láti kó síbẹ̀. Gẹ́gẹ́ nígbà tí aago 8:30 náà dẹ̀ lù, òun náà ni àwọn èèyàn náà dẹ̀ tò tí wọ́n ti ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní ṣe ètò ìdìbò. Àwọn àgùnbánirọ̀ ó kọ́kọ́ ṣe ìdánilẹ́kọ̀ọ́ fún àwọn èèyàn láti sọ fún wọn pé òkè báyìí lè ṣe máa rí, báyìí lè ṣe máa ṣe, báyìí lè ṣe máa ṣe. Lẹ́yìn ìgbà náà ni wọ́n wá fi fún àwọn tó jẹ́ pé bóyá afọ́jú ni wọ́n àbí tó jẹ́ pé bóyá ẹsẹ̀ ń dùn wọ́n ni ò tó fún wọn láàyè láti kọ́kọ́ lè ṣe títí wọn nítorí pé àwọn yòókù náà a máa ṣe. Ní gbogbo ibi tí mo ṣàtidé láàárọ̀ yìí òun ni mo ti rí pé wọ́n ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ètò ìdìbò. Ṣùgbọ́n nǹkan tó tún wá wà níbẹ̀ ni pé gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe kọ́ sílẹ̀ pé iye àwọn èèyàn báyìí ló yẹ kó dìbò báyìí. Àwọn èèyàn tèmi sì ti rí níta kò tí tó iye àwọn tí wọ́n kọ pé ó yẹ kó dìbò níbẹ̀.
Báwo ni ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn aláàbò náà?
Àwọn ẹ̀ṣọ́ aláàbò bó ṣe yẹ kó ṣe rí bí ẹ̀ṣọ́ aláàbò ọlọ́pàá méjì lẹ́yìn ibùdókọ̀ ìdìbò bí mo ṣe rí náà nìyẹn. Ọlọ́pàá kan àbọ̀lọ́pàá méjì ní àwọn ojú pópó àṣírí àwọn sójà náà bí ẹyọ kan sí méjì náà bí àwọn náà sì ń wo àwọn mọ́tò bóyá ẹgbẹ́ nǹkan kan àbí ẹgbẹ́ nǹkan níbo ni wọ́n ń lọ.
Tí a bá wo àwọn ètò tí ìjọba gbé kalẹ̀ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ pé àwọn kan ń ṣe dìbò wọ́n ń ṣe bẹ̀ wọ́n ń fọwọ́ ra ìbò, kí ni àwọn kan tó ti ṣàkíyèsí lásìkò?
Adéyẹmí gẹ́gẹ́ bí mo ṣe sọ lédè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì nítorí pé èmi ti mọ̀ pé nǹkan tí àwọn ìjọba ṣe gbé ìlànà náà sílẹ̀ ni èmi náà ń fi ojú mi sílẹ̀ mò ń wo bí báyà máa rí bí àwọn kan sọ pé wọ́n ń fún wọn lówó wọ́n ra ìbò àti wọ́n ń ṣe báyìí. Èmi náà ń wò tí n bá rí nǹkan kan tó jọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ó ti dájú pé màá sì pè sí ilé agbára láti jábọ̀.
Ok, o ṣeun Adéọlá, a tún máa retí àwọn bíi yòówù tí o bá tún padà dé.
All right, Mike Akitude and BC Olani Oluwasegun have also been trying to reach us. Maybe they will call back and then. Okay, BC, we have BC on the line now. Hello, BC.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, BC.
Yes. Right now I am at.
You're covering elections in Ondo West and Odigbo local government.
That's right.
So where have you been this morning, and what have you seen so far?
Well, I've been to a couple of polling booths this morning. I've been to Ondo Ward 7, Units 20, 5, and 6. I've been to, and that's in Ondo West local government. I've been to Ajue, Unit 7 as well, in Odigbo local government, Ore Ward 10, Unit 44, 20, and 23. And we're still trying to look around for spectacular information regarding this election. But so far, it's been generally peaceful, and we wouldn't really say that the turnout is very impressive, because based on the number of registered voters we have seen so far, the turnout is not really in tandem with what we expected. But
you're saying that the people you're seeing, when you compare to the number of the registered voters in the polling unit, that it's a far cry from the number of registered voters. Is that what you're saying?
That's it for now. Well, and of course we cannot say yet because it's still early. According to INEC, voting is supposed to end at 2:30, and we're still waiting to see if there will be more turnouts before that time. But for now, it's been sparingly. I would say that the electorates around, especially in the local governments, are really not that much, and we hear from some of the officials of INEC that some people are finding it really difficult to locate their names on the register. Probably that accounts for why there are no such numbers as we expected in today's electoral process. But let us see in hours to come, maybe we would have a better story to tell regarding that. And of course, on security, we really cannot say, I can't say based on what I've seen so far that there is a high concentration of security operators because, for instance, in Ondo, where I was this morning at around 7:50, I had, I think there were 5 across all the polling booths that I went to, and in Ojigbo as well, I've been able to go to some polling units, and I've not seen much of their presence in these areas that I've been to. But like I said, it's still about 9. It's still starting. Let's see, maybe there will be provision for that later on, but for now, that's the situation of things.
BC, how prompt would you say the INEC officials were in getting to their various polling units, the ad hoc staff of INEC?
As early as 7 o'clock, when we got to some of these polling units, INEC ad hoc officials were already on ground and trying to, prepare the ground for voters as well. So basically, I would say it's a good one from INEC. The officials were prompt and they were on hand to attend to voters.
Also, help us find out how if there are any issues with the beavers, with because you mentioned that some people are finding it difficult. Maybe we should say it on this program that because some polling units were overloaded. Thank you, BC. Because some polling units were overloaded, INEC, there are people that INEC decided to take to some other polling unit, and one of the things that INEC did was to send text messages because. Even though I'm here in the studio working, I got that text message. They send text messages to people about a particular code that you can text to, and then it will tell you where your polling unit is. People who are finding it very difficult to find their polling unit today should try and use that code, and it will tell them where they will be voting today. Thank you very much, BC. Mike is joining us on the phone as well. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Dimeji. Good morning.
How is the Laje and Eseldo? Have you gone on the waters this morning, or you're still in the Laje?
Yes, I'm still in Laje at the moment. I'm in Maitedo, and St. Luke's Anglican Primary School, where we have 6 polling units. But surprisingly, there are just 3 of those 6 functioning at the moment. I tried to ask some INEC ad hoc staff here why, but they're not giving any positive response. But in the 3...
Hello, Mike. Hello. Hello, Mike. I'm with you.
Okay, so in the 3 polling units I have here at Itebukumi, St. Luke's Anglican Primary School, voting commenced as early as 8. Electorates got here 15 minutes to 8, and some checked the names on the register. Some had to meet with the INEC ad hoc staff to ask you questions. It's been a smooth process here. Some of them still coming in. Of course, it's a long queue here at this 3 polling units here. But another thing I noticed is the fact that they will have few security operatives here, but there are no issues.
All right, thank you, Mike. We'll get back to you. Thank you very much.
Nigeria. tí gbogbo wa ní kó má gbọ́dọ̀ bàjẹ́ torí kò sí ibòmíràn tí a lè lọ àjò lè dàbí ilé ẹ jẹ́ ká sowọ́pọ̀ ká fìmọ̀ ṣọ̀kan gbé kémi gbé.
Àdàbà FM 88.9 Àkúrẹ́.
Fine o.
Àwọn kìíní kan tí mo rí ní àwọn olùdókòwò tí mo lọ ní pé àwọn àgbàlagbà ó dàbí ni pé wọn ò fi gbogbo ara ní ìmọ̀ nípa ọ̀rọ̀ ìbò yìí torí pé púpọ̀ nínú àwọn ìwé ìbò ṣe ni pé àwọn ẹlòmíì tó yẹ kó ti dàgbà tó máa fi jáde níbi tó ti lọ sí ìbò ojú owó ìbò tí wọ́n fi ìbò sí á ti lọ sí oṣù kejì tó já sí pé ìwé ìbò yẹn kò wúlò àjẹ́yẹ̀ kò ní lè ká fún ìwé ìbò sí.
Hello, Patience. Hello. Ó dàbí pé ìlànà ti já Patience ibè láti ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì ni ẹ ti ń gbọ́ ni wọ́n ní àwọn ti dé ìlú Ìyìn Èkìtì àti pé àwọn àgbàlagbà tí wọ́n wà ń bẹ̀ ó dàbí pé wọn ò mọ̀ nípa ìdìbò náà wọ́n ń tẹ̀ ní bí kò ṣe tọ́ jẹ́ kí a tún lọ gba ìpè mí. Hello Títí. Hello.
Ẹ kú ojúmọ́ o.
Ṣàlàáfíà ni.
Adúpẹ́ o.
Agbègbè ìjọba àbílẹ̀ Òkìtìpupa àti Ìrẹ̀lẹ̀ ní ó wà àbí?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o.
Báwo ni nǹkan ṣe rí ń bẹ̀?
Dáadáa náà ni àwọn èèyàn wá jáde láti ṣẹ̀ka ní àárọ̀ yìí. Mo ti dé àwọn ibùdó tí àwọn èèyàn ti ń dìbò láwọn ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ àwọn ojútò tí ń bẹ níjọba ìbílẹ̀ Òkìtìpupa. Ní nǹkan bí aago 9 ètò ìdìbò kò tí ì gbéra sọ láwọn yúnítì tí mo dé yúnítì kìíní ti ilé-ẹ̀kọ́ primary school Methodist primary school ìkejì ti St. Edward ìkẹta ti ilé Olúmẹ́kùn ilé tí gbogbo wọn bẹ lápapọ̀ wọ́dún àná Òkìtìpupa bákan náà lọ́mọ́sórí ní ward 2 láwọn agbègbè tí ó ṣe wípé àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ àjọ INEC kò tètè kódà lílẹ̀ ìwé táwọn èèyàn fi wọ́n kọ wọn gan-an àwọn èèyàn ti jókòó sẹpẹsẹpẹ ti pẹ́ tó tó di wípé lẹ́yìn ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ tó fi wá di wípé títí di àárín nǹkan bí aago 9 ètò ìdìbò ń fara rẹ̀ kò tí ì gbéra sọ. nǹkan kan tí mo wá ṣe àkíyèsí rẹ̀ lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ lónìí àwọn èèyàn tó ṣe wípé wọ́n ti ń dìbò tipẹ́tipẹ́ ní ojú kan náà láti ìgbà tí wọ́n ti wà ń gbà ìwé wọn gan kódà àwọn àgbàlagbà tí wọ́n ti lọ́jọ́ lórí ni wọ́n fi àdùnnú hàn nípa pé wọn kò ṣàdédé rí orúkọ wọn mọ́ ní ojútò tí wọ́n ti ń lò láti àyébáyé àmọ́ ńgbà tí yín fi kúrò ní ward 1 ní Òkìtìpupa tí a ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ dé agbègbè wọ́wọ́ 2 Ọlálẹ́yẹ pọ́tà ní ọjà Òkìtìpupa yìí àwọn orúkọ èèyàn tó yẹ kí wọ́n farahàn kí wọ́n sì wà dìbò ni ó ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ tí ó lé ní ọ̀tà lé ní 204 àmọ́ àwọn tí mo bá lórí ìlà jẹ́ nǹkan bíi 100 ní Gbódìgbò unit 007 náà àwọn tí ó tó okòó lé ní 720 ni wọ́n ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ tí wọ́n retí àmọ́ àwọn tí wọ́n bẹ lórí ìlà ó dín díẹ̀ ní 100 bákan náà.
Ìyẹn ni pé àwọn èèyàn ò fi bẹ́ẹ̀ jáde bí ó ṣe yẹ.
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni nípa ti ètò ààbò ọlọ́pàá kan tàbí méjì ni à ń rí ní ibùdó ètò ìbò kò sì sí àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ àjọ aláàbò láàrin ìgboro kódà ń ṣe làwọn èèyàn bá ojúṣe wọn lọ bí ó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ wípé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ní lọ́kàn wọ́n sì farahàn bí ìdìbò síbẹ̀síbẹ̀ wọ́n tún rìn sáàrin ìgboro náà. kí n tí ra àwọn aláàbò ara lónìí kò jẹ́ kí n mọ irú ìpèníjà tí àwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n ní.
tó ní ó dàbí pé o fún aníròyìn pé àwọn èèyàn kan sọ pé wọn ò ní jáde nítorí pé kò sówó lọ́wọ́ wọn ṣé kìí ṣe torí eléyìí ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọn ò ṣe jáde.
Wọ́n ṣe àlàyé èyí o gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìpèníjà tí wọ́n ní ìwọ̀nba àwọn tí wọ́n wà ń bẹ̀ láwọn ṣetán láti dìbò àmọ́ ìpèníjà tí ó jù fún wọn ni wípé wọ́n rìn kiri wọn sì mọ bí tọ́kọ wọn wà mọ́.
Nígbà tí o ní àwọn èèyàn ń rìn kiri jẹ́ àwọn èèyàn ń tajà wọ́n ń rajà bí báwo ni gbogbo ọ̀dọ́ ṣe rí.
àmọ́ wọ́n rìn wọn kò dúró sójú kan.
wọn kò dúró sójú kan kẹ.
wọ́n rìn sókè wọ́n sì rìn sódò.
tọ a tún máa retí bí nǹkan bá ṣe rí ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ Òkìtìpupa àti Ìrẹ̀lẹ̀ tó wà.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni ní máa rí ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ Ìrẹ̀lẹ̀ báyìí láti wo bí nǹkan tó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ náà.
ṣe títí. tọ́ ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa àwọn akọ̀ròyìn wa káàkiri àwọn ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ lọ́kànjọ̀kan àwọn náà ni ẹ ti ń gbọ́ ni ẹ ti gbọ́ ìròyìn tí àwọn èèyàn wa tí wọ́n mú wa bí àwọn èèyàn ṣe jáde sí àti bí àwọn aláàbò ṣe rí ń bẹ bí òṣèré nìyẹn wọ́n ti mú ìròyìn wa láti Èkìtì láti Òkìtìpupa láti Ọ̀wọ̀.
Okay, we have Patience on the line. Hello, Patience.
Hello, Patience. Hello, Patience. Hello, Patience.
Hello.
Okay, so we can hear you now. Hello, can you hear me? Hello. Okay, we lost that. Maybe Patience will try and call back. We're also getting a report from Diola that she will be calling in soon, and that she will be speaking with the governor of Ondo State. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu anytime now. We'll be expecting that call. We'd love to speak with the governor to have a sense of what they think so far about the process. Hello. Okay, Tolu Falaye is on the line from Osun State. She's covering elections in Osun for us today. Hello, Tolu. What is happening in Osun? Please, give us a rundown of what you've seen so far from yesterday when INEC started deploying sensitive materials. Let's get a sense of what you've witnessed so far up until this morning, up until now.
Yeah, yesterday, actually, the INEC, they distributed their sensitive and non-sensitive material on Wednesday. So
I'm talking about deployment to wards and units.
Yeah, everything went smoothly yesterday. All the INEC officials and ad hoc staff, they were deployed yesterday to their various local governments, and everything went smoothly. And this morning, as early as 7 o'clock, voters are already at their polling units waiting to exercise to cast their votes. And most of INEC officials arrived at their polling units at 7:30, 8 o'clock. And when they arrived, they started addressing the voters on how to go about the voters exercise is going to be. And after that, security operating was cited at every polling unit, almost every polling unit. You will see NSDC, policemen, everywhere is fully loaded with security. EFCC too, they were on ground too. At some polling units, I saw some EFCC guys there too, monitoring the process. And since then, everything is going on smoothly. In some polling units, they've started casting their votes there. In Ward 5, Unit 5 in Egbedore area, they've started voting there. And actually, what I saw was that the level of turnout is very, very low here in Osun State, precisely in Osogbo.
Okay.
The level of turnout is not encouraging. As at this time I speak, it's not encouraging at all.
Okay, Tolu. Have you tried to compare what you can see, what you're seeing at the moment, with number of registered voters in some of these polling units to make you arrive at that conclusion that the turnout is low? Yeah,
in the polling units in Egbedore, the numbers of registered voters there is 1,001, and people I'm seeing on the queue, they are not up to 200. They are not up to 200 at all. So, and some other polling units, the numbers of the voters is very much. But people I'm seeing on the queue, no, it's not encouraging at all. So the level of turnout for now is low.
All right, Tolu, Yemila Wa is here to speak with you in Yoruba.
Hello, Tolu. Àwọn agbègbè olótìdé nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun àti pé kí ni nǹkan tí ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ń bẹ̀.
Mo ti dé Òṣogbo, mo ti dé àwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan kan níbi Òṣogbo, mo ti dé Ẹgbẹ́dọ̀rẹ́ náà, mo ti dé àwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan kan níbi Ẹgbẹ́dọ̀rẹ́. So ní Òṣogbo, àwọn èèyàn ti wà níta báyìí ní ọwọ́ aago méje. Àwọn èèyàn ti kó ní polling unit náà, àwọn náà pọ̀ náà gan, àwọn èèyàn tó ṣàfẹ́ dìbò níbẹ̀ yẹn wọ́n ti débẹ̀ ní ọwọ́ aago méje. Àwọn INEC official gbogbo wọn dé bí aago méje àbọ̀, aago mẹ́jọ. Bàtà sì dé wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ ètò wọn kò pẹ́ náà ní káwọn èèyàn máa tò kán wo orúkọ kán sì tò kán máa wo kán wá máa ṣe accreditation tó má ti ṣe tán kán sì dìbò. Kẹ́tẹ́mi kàn rí ni pé àwọn elétò ààbò gbogbo wọn péye sí àwọn polling unit tí mo ti lọ, àwọn EFCC gbogbo máa bẹ̀, ọlọ́pàá, NSCDC, àwọn civil defence gbogbo wọn ló péye sí ibi tí mo ti lọ ní èní, gbogbo ẹ̀ sì ń lọ ní ìrọwọ́rọsẹ̀.
Tọ́ ní àwọn ibi tí ó dé jíjáde àwọn èèyàn báwo ni ó ṣe rí ń bẹ̀ ní àwọn ibi tí wọ́n ti fẹ́ dìbò? Báwo ni jíjáde àwọn èèyàn láti dìbò báwo ló ṣe rí ní àwọn ibi tó ti dé?
Tí mo dé jíjáde àwọn èèyàn kò wúni lórí rárá, lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ kò tiẹ̀ wúni lórí. Níbì kan àwọn tó yẹ kó dìbò ń bẹ̀ wọ́n jẹ́ 1,101, àwọn tó wà lórí ìlà wọ́n pé 200. Ibòmíì náà bó ṣe rí náà nìyẹn, àwọn tó wà lórí ìlà wọn pọ̀. Àwọn nọ́mbà tó yẹ kó dẹ̀ dìbò níbẹ̀ yẹn wọ́n pọ̀. Lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí bí àwọn apàdà lè jáde o à lè sọ, pọ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ bí mi ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí kò sí wúni lórí rárá.
A tún máa retí bí nǹkan bá ṣe rí nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun.
Okay, we are also getting reports that the running mate to the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, that Ifeanyi Okowa, has also cast his vote in his area in Delta State, that is Agbo in Delta State. Okay, before we will bring to you the interview of Atiku Abubakar and that of Oluremi Tinubu, wife of APC candidate, we're getting calls. Let's take some more calls from our reporters on the feed, and then we'll get back to you. Hello, Patience.
Hello.
You just spoke with us a while ago. Is there any new development?
Yes, right now I'm at Unit 04, Ward 4 at Erin Junior Ekiti on my way to Ikogosi. Voting has commenced in this particular polling unit. Hello, Dimeji.
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm listening.
Yes, I have the former chairman of ACN, APC in Ekiti State, Chief Judy Awe.
Oh, okay, Chief Judy Awe. Hello, Chief Judy Awe.
Good morning.
Is everything there? Please, before we get into it, no campaign today. Let's get that.
Today.
Okay. So,
campaign has just since yesterday 5 p.m.
Since Thursday. So, what can you tell us? What can you tell us about the process so far?
The process is peaceful. The process is okay, well organized. Voting has commenced in my unit. People are ugly. The electoral officers are doing work. So far, so good. It is hitch-free.
Okay, the number of registered voters in Ekiti State is, to say the least, very low. Some and around 700,000 collected their PVCs in the state. If you look at the turnout today, especially in your own area, which is Ekiti, what can you say? What can you say about the turnout? Is it?
It cannot add to our population. We hope the best will come out of it because people are enthusiastic of voting because of the situation on ground.
Okay.
So
hello.
We have people here that are present at the polling unit, and I believe there is no problem, irrespective of low number of people that have collected their PVCs. They are coming out.
All right. thank you very much, Chief Gidi Awe, and thank you, Patience. We are having we're expecting the governor of Ondo State who would like to take that call now.
I'm on my way to Ekiti now, so we can't go see.
All right, we'll get back to you, Patience. Hello, Diola. Hello, Diola. Okay, maybe Diola will call back because the last time she spoke with us, she said she wanted to bring on the governor of Ondo State, Mr. Rotimi Akeredolu. We're expecting that call. We'd love to speak with him to know what is happening, what he has been able to gather from his people, different areas, because I know he will be getting situation report. Of course, I also know that there is a situation room set up by his political party, or virtually all the political parties have situation rooms. So we're expecting another call from DLR. Jumoke has also been calling Jumoke's monetary election in Akure South, Akure North. I was about saying that we've not had anything, that people will be very anxious to know what is happening around there. Okay, Jumoke is back on the line now. Hello, Jumoke.
Yes. Good morning, Dimitri.
Good morning. You were taking your time to get into us.
I was trying to compare the number of voters compared to the number of records on the list. And I must say that for the places I've visited, it's not really encouraging. Though there were complaints that some of them, they've been voting somewhere and they could not find their name. I saw a man as old as about 75 years of age, and the man just concluded he was going back home.
Have they tried to speak with INEC officials, because before INEC did raise this particular situation before the election, and that they have sent text messages to affected people to help them find out where they'll be voting.
Yes, I was coming to that because like 2 or 3 of them showed me the text message, and let me say, for who we are as citizens, some of them said, because they said send your code to so sort code with a token that is a scam. So they refused to do that. So getting to their regular places of voting, they couldn't find their name. So I think they were kind of angry that some were even thinking that, or their conclusion is that it's a kind of manipulation, so that they will not be able to cast their vote for their preferred candidate. But for the places I've visited around Akure down to Elisha Garage, the turnout just for Elisha Garage is encouraging. But some places like 13, there was a place I even got to, the presiding officers and the core members were just sitting and waiting for voters to come around. Now I'm on my way to Ikoba to see what is happening, and from there move onward to Akure North.
Maybe we should tell the people, Jumoke, just hold on a bit. Yemi will speak with you. Maybe we should let the people know that this code is not a scam. If you can't find your polling unit, this is a code you use to find your polling unit. And they did this because they believe that some of the polling units were overcrowded, and that people will have to be taken to other polling units. So you can use this to find your polling unit, so that you'll not be disenfranchised. Today you'll be able to also exercise your civic duty of voting. Jumoke, I'll hand you over to Yemi now.
Hello, Jumoke.
Yemi Lawa.
Ìjọba àbílẹ̀ Àkúrẹ́ ní ọwọ́ àwọn bí wo ló ti dé àti bí báwo ni ẹ ṣe rí.
Àwọn bó ti dé àwọn polling tó pọ̀ dé gbogbo ọjà NEPA, dé àwọn Abiodun, Àràkálẹ̀, Ìsìnkàn, Arárọ̀mí ṣáì, gbogbo bẹ̀yẹn ni mo ti lọ. Gbogbo àwọn ibi tí mo dé àfi Iléṣà garage, sórí Iléṣà road ni wọ́n pè lórí kíní wọn. Ibẹ̀yẹn nìkan ló fẹ́ dàbí pé àwọn èèyàn pọ̀, bóyá torí kó lè jẹ́ pé unit 3 ló wà nínú bẹ̀yẹn ló jẹ́ kí èrò bẹ̀yẹn pọ̀. Àwọn èèyàn kan tí wọ́n wá bá pàdé, wọ́n ní wọn ò rí orúkọ wọn níbi tí wọ́n ti máa ń dìbò tẹ́lẹ̀. So eléyìí fà kán fẹ́ máa bínú, wọ́n dẹ̀ máa rò pé bóyá wọ́n kàn fẹ́ mọ̀ má jẹ́ kí àwọn dìbò ni. Àwọn kan tó wá sọ wípé gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ṣe mọ̀ pé àwọn INEC wọ́n sẹ́ndì àtẹ̀ránṣẹ́ kan sí àwọn èèyàn níbi kò tẹ code kan síbẹ̀ kò lè rí polling unit ẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n á fi síbẹ̀ pé tó bá ti sẹ́ndì wàá san 50 naira. Àwọn tí mo wá ní wá sọ fún mi pé 50 naira tó wọ́n fi sí yẹn ó túmọ̀ sí wípé kò kí ṣe INEC ní pé bóyá àwọn èèyàn lẹ́ni mo rí bàbá kan náà tó ti around 75 bàbá yẹn lóun ti lọ síbi mẹ́rin òun ò rí orúkọ òun ipò torí ẹ̀ òun padà lọlé ipò ti rẹ̀ òun táwọn ibi tí mo ti dé tabaníkà gbé àwọn tí ó wà ní orí report ibi kan wà bí ẹ pé 997 làwọn tó yẹ kó wọ́n dìbò níbẹ̀ àwọn tí mo rí lórí ìlà ọ̀tí ẹ̀ pé 300 but àwa lè sọ bóyá àwọn èèyàn kàn ń take time wọn láti jáde kó tó lọ dìbò wọn àwọn bí tí mo ti dé báyìí nìyẹn ní báyìí mo fẹ́ máa mú lọ sí agbègbè ìta ògbólú kí tí mo bí ó ṣe ń lọ ní apá bẹ̀.
báwo ni ọ̀rọ̀ àwọn aláàbò ní ìgboro báwo ni ó ṣe ní.
àwọn aláàbò wà ń bẹ̀ àwọn DSS wà ń bẹ̀ àwọn àjọ ààbò ara ẹni làbò mo ráwọn náà àwọn tí a ń pè ní àwọn traffic warden wà ń bẹ̀ àwọn federal road safety náà wà ń bẹ̀ bákan náà níbi kan mo ráwọn fire service náà níbẹ̀ àgbàdúrà ìjàmbá náà ṣùgbọ́n mo ráwọn náà níbẹ̀ ní iwájú mi náà báyìí mo wo ọkọ̀ àwọn sójà ọkọ̀ wọn ní ńlá yẹn wọ́n ń lọ sí wọn èmi náà rọra dúró sí ẹgbẹ́ tèmi náà àwọn náà ń lọ tó wọ́n ti mo ti rí ni àwọn aláàbò wà ní gbogbo polling unit tí mo ti lọ.
a máa retí bí nǹkan bá ṣe rí ní gbogbo àwọn ibi tí o bá tún padà dé.
ó ṣe yẹmi làwà.
Okay, Deola is telling us that she is already with the governor. Deola, your call takes priority now. If you are listening, maybe you try and call in now. Let us speak with the governor. We are expecting your call, Deola.
ẹ jẹ́ ká sowọ́pọ̀ ká fìmọ̀ ṣọ̀kan gbé kémi gbé.
ṣàṣàrò ló dára ká finú inú ká fikùn lukùn kí nàìjíríà kó lè tẹ̀síwájú ogun ọ̀tẹ̀ yìí ti tó ká gbàgbé ìjà ẹlẹ́yàmẹ̀yà haúsá ìgbò pẹ̀lú yorùbá ṣe láṣàjọjì ìjà òmìnira ni a tún bára wájà èdìrẹ́ ogun.
Okay, it's still Nigeria decides that the BFM's studio for the coverage of the presidential and national assembly elections 2023. Just as we promised before, that we'll be bringing you interviews of the wife of the candidate of the All Progressives Congress and the candidate of the People's Democratic Party. Okay, just a moment before we play those interviews. President Muhammadu Buhari is arriving. He has arrived at his polling unit in Katsina to cast his vote, in Daura specifically in Katsina to cast his vote. Let's quickly listen to those two interviews now. The interview of Oluremi Tinubu, wife of candidate of APC, and Atiku Abubakar, candidate of the People's Democratic Party.
But they were able to capture my picture, which is, they said they have those two options. If not, the process is fine. It's fine so far. I guess so. Because, when they started that and it's just within a minute I'm done. So I think it's it's all right. It's all in God's hands, and let His will be done. Thank you.
Every environment has its own challenges. I think we don't expect uniform expectations all over the country. I expect that this is a more credible protest than previous ones, and I think it is good that we are improving with every election cycle.
Okay, those were the interviews of Atiku Abubakar, candidate of PDP, and Oluwemi Tinubu, wife of the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We are also monitoring development to also know when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the candidate of the APC, will also be casting a vote. Like we said, at the moment, President Muhammadu Buhari is about casting his vote at this polling unit in Daura. Sukomi Eluchoba, who is covering the 4 local governments in Akoko, is on the line now. Hello, Sukomi.
Hello, good morning.
So bring us up to date on what you witnessed so far since yesterday when you got to the 4 Akoko, that is Akoko Southeast, Akoko Southwest, Akoko Northeast, Akoko Northwest. What is happening? What have you been able to see so far in terms of voter turnout, security deployment, and any other issues that you've been able, especially regarding how effectively INEC was able to deploy to the polling unit this morning?
Yeah. Since yesterday, people were upbeat about this election, saying that unlike others, they will come out at a very convenient time to exercise their franchise. And of course, there are not a lot of rush, on the part of the people to exercise. On the part of the people, just like on some places where the panic buys and things like that start to stock their homes and things like that. But it's not so here in Akoko, because they told me yesterday that they do not expect that it's a brotherly contest, that they do not expect that things will degenerate, that there will be crisis. So that was it on that part. So early this morning, in virtually all parts of Akoko, I've been to the southern part of Akoko. Now presently I'm in the northern part of Akoko. There were early turnouts of IDOC staff. In some places as early as 7:45 a.m. they were already there. In some places as early as 8, they were there. So trying to set up, and people were also already waiting for INEC officials as well in some places. Even at the registration area centers, Nigerians were also there. People of Akoko were there as well to see for themselves the deployment of all these things at the registration area centers, where the things were dispatched onto each of the respective polling units. So people, they've turned out, even in the early hours here by 6 a.m., people were there to see exactly what is happening for themselves. So people turn out in some areas as well. You see people already lying, already on queue. Immediately INEC officials came, they fall online just to conduct themselves in an orderly manner. And for those that are the elderly ones, they were given preference. They did not allow them to queue. They just allowed them to stay somewhere under a shade, and they usher them in. They give them preference for the age. So immediately after that, they return to the normal queue. And of course, in terms of turnout of the people, I will not say that it is massive, but I say it is still very relatively impressive, the turnout of the people. Now, I have a case here in Yometa Ward 2, in Okotun, 1 and 11 in Ikare Akoko, where we have about 913 registered voters. And as early as about 8 a.m. in the morning, I did a kind of head count for those on queue, and I counted about 150 people on queue as early as 8:30 a.m. So that tells you that shows me that it's still relatively impressive and very young in the day. As time goes on, for those that are still coming back from work and things like that. So maybe if I'm to just take a look at it, what I expect, maybe at the end of the day we might have about let's say 300, 400, because I do not expect that all 900 and something will come out to exercise their franchise. So that has been it. It's still impressive, the turnout of the voters. And of course, the major, there is an issue I would also like to talk to.
Okay.
There was a press conference in Accra. There were even issues on social media that some political parties were omitted on the ballot papers. I took it upon myself to check as they are INEC officials were issuing those ballot papers out to see if it was so. And I discovered that for the presidential, it was a longer slip. All the 18 political parties were there, and in some areas it was shorter. And in my conversation with the people, they were saying that most of the political parties did not present candidates for those elections. So it was where they did not present candidates for those elections that they were, I think they were left out. So
if I hear you, Sukomi, just a minute.
Some areas that they were saying that they wanted to be disenfranchised, but logo were not on ballot papers.
Sukomi, just a moment. Hello, Sukomi.
They did not present candidates in those areas.
Hello, Sukomi, just a moment. If I hear you correctly, you're saying that a particular political party that has been saying that his logo was omitted, you're saying that is not the case with the presidential election.
That's not the case with the okay, for instance, now let me cite Ikare, Akoko Northeast, Akoko Northwest as an example. This particular party we're talking about has presented a presidential candidate. The logo was on the presidential ballot paper. They presented an House of Representatives candidate. Their logo was also on the House of Representatives ballot paper. They did not present a senatorial candidate, so their logo was not on the senatorial ballot paper.
Oh, okay. Sukomi, thank you very much. We would have okay, just a bit. One moment. We've been hearing reports that, as you know, some voters could not find their polling unit because of this new arrangement by INEC to take some of them away from overcrowded polling units. Have you witnessed that in the areas that you're covering?
Well, I have not witnessed that. I have not witnessed that. Presently, I'm in Ogbagi Ward 6, Unit 19. And people are there. I asked them, how easy was it for them to locate their polling unit? For most of them, they are regular voters, and for those that are new, they were assisting them to read. There is a way this thing has been encoded on the PVCs, on the permanent voter cards, for them to locate their polling units. Okay, if you are presenting, you have to vote at Unit 19. You're coming with a PVC. Maybe that place is closer to your area, and you thought that is where you're voting, but unfortunately it is Unit 20. So they will just help them to read, okay, this is Unit 20, so go to so that's where Unit 20 is. So it's not so very difficult for them to locate their polling units. People that were the usual voters, those that have been voting before now, they're helping them to read the units on the permanent voter cards people are presenting, so to help them locate their polling units.
All right, thank you very much, Sukomi. President Muhammadu Buhari has now cast his vote and is at the moment speaking with journalists at his polling unit in Daura in Katsina State. That is his home state. We'll be bringing you that interview any moment now. After the president voted, before he dropped his ballot papers in the assigned ballot papers for the three elections that are holding today, that's the presidential, the Senate, and of course the House of Representatives election. President Muhammadu Buhari, one after the other, raised his ballot paper up to the camera for people to see where he was voting. I think that was funny. Like we promised, we'll be bringing you that interview anytime now.
tó tí àbáwò ààrẹ Muhammadu Buhari wọ́n ti dìbò ní ìlú wọn nílùú Daura níbi tí àwọn àti ìyàwó wọn tán ti dìbò tí wọ́n sì jẹ́ pé wọ́n bá àwọn oníròyìn sọ̀rọ̀ lọ́wọ́ báyìí tí ó bá yá àmú bí wọ́n ṣe bá àwọn oníròyìn sọ̀rọ̀ àti gbogbo nǹkan tí wọ́n sọ lásìkò náà mọ̀ wá fún yín.
Okay, Okoye Majora has been trying to reach us. Is now on the line. He's covering elections in our domain. That is Ifedore. You know, Ifedore is our landlord. Ifedore and, of course, Idore, local government. Hello, Jordan.
Hello, Diloji.
Hello, how are you doing this morning? Last time I spoke with you, you were in Lara. The last time I spoke with you, you were in Lara.
right now I'm in Ilara Mokin.
Okay.
Actually, I've visited some polling units and Ifedore local government area of Ondo State, where eligible voters have been on queue as at 8:30 a.m. to cast their vote for their preferred candidates. And I observed that across the polling units that I visited, the turnout not really impressive because we don't know what really happened. Because some polling units like Ward 2, Unit 3, and Igbara OK, and then Ward 2, Units 5 and 6 and 11, the voters there, they are not really much. Ward 2 and Unit 2 and Ilara Mokin, where 678 voters, registered voters, the number on the queue were not tally with the number of registered voters, because when I count the people at the queue, they are not much. They are not like 100 out of.
Hello, Jordan. Are people able to find their polling units without any problem?
Yes. People are getting their polling units. Actually, in Ibudi, Moriwo, in Ward 1, as at 7:30.
So you've been to Ibuji?
Yes.
Okay.
At around 7:30. 7:45, the INEC official, they are not on ground, and the security personnel, one of them, and they are there, the policemen and then other security agencies, they are there to wait for the ad hoc staff. But when we want to leave the Ibuji, so we met them at the road where they are going to the polling units. This make it difficult that the voting did not commence there as at 8:30. Even many of the ad hoc staff did not even locate their units, because at the Ibudi and then Igbara OK at that time, because in fact we need to carry some of them back to their the place their
polling units.
Dispatch with their unit, their polling units. We need to carry them there. So right now I'm in Ilara Mokin Ward 2, Unit 2 in Ilara Mokin, and Ward 2, Unit 1 in Dolofin, where some voters were on queue, and then a little disagreement will happen there because of the arrangement of where people are voting.
Okay, so Jordan, just a moment. If I hear you correctly, you're saying some of them are not able, some of them could not find their names at that particular polling unit.
No, not like that. Not like that.
Okay.
The arrangement, the voting arrangement.
Okay.
The voting arrangement is what made the disagreement.
Oh, okay. All right, Jordan. Yemilawa would love to speak with you, but then just a little correction. That town is Ibuji, not Ibuji. You know, my mother is related to that place, so don't do a disservice to that town. Thank you.
All right. Jordan. Báwo ni àwọn bí wo ló ti dé ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ Ìfẹ́dọ̀rẹ́ àti àwọn ibòmíì tí ó ti dé, báwo ni bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe rí?
A ti lọ káàkiri ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ Ìfẹ́dọ̀rẹ́.
Just a minute, Yemilawa. Aṣíwájú Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, is on his way now to cast his vote at his polling unit, and we will. There's actually a lot of crowd around him at the moment, but we'll be bringing you development from that area. We'll let you know as soon as he speaks with journalists. We'll bring you that interview as well. I think the interview of President Muhammadu Buhari, I think that is ready now. But okay, they're still working on it. Yemilawa, go on with Jordan.
Okay, Yemi.
A ti dé àwọn ibì kan ní Ìlaramọ̀kín àti Ìgbàrà Òkè Ìbùjí Ward 1 ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo ń bí níbi tí àwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n ti láǹfààní láti jáde bó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ pé iye àwọn èèyàn tó jáde kò fẹ́ẹ̀ ṣerékí pẹ̀lú iye àwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n forúkọ sílẹ̀ tí wọ́n gba káàdì ìdìbò ní àwọn apá ibìkan tí a ti dé kódà ní Ìgbàrà Òkè àwọn ibìkan wà tó jẹ́ pé àwọn tí ó jẹ́ pé àwọn tí ó wà ní orí ìlà wọn ò tí ì láǹfààní àti pọ̀ ibi Ìbùjí tá a lọ àwọn òṣèlétò ìdìbò wọn ò tètè dé sí ibẹ̀ níbi ó kù ìṣẹ́jú bíi 15 sí aago 8 ó kù ìṣẹ́jú 15 wọn ò tètè dé tó jẹ́ pé a pàdé wọn ní ojú ọ̀nà ni àwọn ibòmíì tí a tún ti dé ní Ìlaramọ̀kín Ìdọ́lọ́fin Ward 2 Unit 1 Ward 2 Unit 2 Ìlaramọ̀kín àti Ward 2 Unit 8 tó fi mọ́ Ward 2 Unit 10 àwọn èèyàn wà ní orí ìlà níbẹ̀ tó sì jẹ́ pé wọ́n ń ṣe ojúṣe wọn ń dìbò gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìlànà bó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ pé àwọn tí ó jẹ́ àgbàlagbà àtàwọn aláboyún wọ́n fún wọn ní ààyè mo fẹ́ sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan náà wọ́n fún wọn láàyè níbàámu pẹ̀lú ìlànà òfin àjọ elétò ìdìbò tí í ṣe abala 54 ojú ìwé kejì ó fún wọn ní àǹfààní láti tètè láǹfààní àti dìbò kí wọ́n di tiwọn kúrò ńbẹ̀ láti lè jẹ́ kí àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ àkàndá ẹ̀dá náà wọ́n fún wọn ní àǹfààní láti
ṣe Ọpẹ́yẹmí Jọ̀dá òṣè àwọn ibi tó bá tún dé a tún máa gbọ́ bí nǹkan bá ṣe rí ń bẹ̀ nígbà tí ó bá yá.
Okay, the interview of President Muhammadu Buhari is now ready. Let's quickly take a listen.
All over the place, I mentioned my favorite candidate, and I believe my constituency will choose him 100%. What is your advice to Nigerians when they are not of the results? Yes, Nigerians should make sure that they have been respected. That means the candidates they want to vote for, they are allowed to vote for him. It is a pity that only one woman candidate in the combination from Adamawa State. So the woman should kindly.
All right, that was the interview by President Muhammadu Buhari. Just as we said, Bola Tinubu is arriving at this polling unit in Arausa in Lagos State to cast his vote. We'll be bringing you development from there. I think Sheung Adebolu, our correspondent in Ekiti State, is on the line now. He's covering election in Ekiti South local government. Hello, Sheung, what's the noise about? Maybe you stay away from the noise. Hello.
Hello.
Please step away from the noise so that we'll be able to stay with you, and then focus on my voice and stay away from any radio around our place. All right. So Sheung, yes, I can hear you now. Sheung, you're covering election in Ekiti South, which has the highest number of local governments in Ekiti State. Ekiti Southwest, Ikere, Emure, Isiorun, Boyin, Ekiti East local government. So let us know, where have you been this morning and what have you seen so far?
This morning I've been to Ilawe and Ikere Ekiti. As early as 7 in the morning at Ilawe Ekiti, people started trooping out to exercise their franchise. And at Ilawe Ward 6, Unit 1, people were already on ground, though the INEC officers were there, but started the process of voting and accreditation lately. As at 8:52 in the morning, the process is yet to commence. And at Ikere Ekiti, the deputy governor exercised a franchise around after 9 this morning. So far, so good. At one unit in Ikere, where we have a registered voters of 496.
Okay, Sheung, where with you?
Where we have a registered voters of 496. During our visit there, only 16 were accredited. So far, there were excuses that some people went to farm, some people are still coming, some people are still at home cooking, some are still at home sleeping. Yet, people are not coming out to exercise their franchise. No complaint yet from them. Do some people.
Ìjà ló dé sórí òwe nípa ọ̀rọ̀ òṣèlú. àwọn ọmọ wa tí ń bọ̀ lẹ́yìn kí la fẹ́ sọ pé àgbélé ayé ṣe gbé kájọ gbé ó yá kájọ gbé.
So make I tell you, whether you be Yoruba, Hausa or Igbo, all na the same 10 and 10 pence. Now him make we go join hands together, make we country better. No say I no tell you. Yes, sir.
Samarin Nigeria, Mudaga Nigeria, Yamata Nigeria, Mudaga Nigeria, Uhata Hanumu, Mudaga Nigeria, Nigeria, Namune, Nigeria, Namune.
Make we leave town.
Adaba FM 88.9 Akure.
Come, make we lift Nigeria up. Lift, make a lift. This Nigeria now we own. Making up Africa. No place where be like our home. Home, sweet home. Make we join and think alive. America plus Germany, France plus Britain.
Yeah, Shebi we know, and they suffer before. Sincerity plus hard work, now it make them be the best today.
Everybody want to become citizens, brothers and sisters. Make we no give up. If today bitter, tomorrow will be better. If today bitter, tomorrow will be better. Not true at the top, not true at the top. Make me live town, lead, make a lead. Make me live Nigeria, lead, make a lead. It's Nigeria now we own, making up Africa. No place where be like our home. Home, sweet home. Make we join and think alike. Please make a lead.
Taba fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ Nàìjíríà tó rò mímímí. Ohun tó bàjẹ́ tún lè láǹtún ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ nìyẹn. The way forward na him be this.
Make we work for better Naija.
Whatever we sow, na him we go reap.
Make we work for better Naija.
In the name of the Most High, I beg you live good. I beg you live good in the spirit of brotherhood. Fade away, oh ye spirit of segregation. Move away, oh ye spirit of nepotism. I beg you, please listen to we.
Make we work for better Naija.
The more we are together we shall be.
Make we work for better Naija.
Together we stand, divided we fall.
Make we work for better Naija.
If you are a leader, please show good example.
Make we work for better Naija.
Just like the Father will do to the Son.
Make we work for better Naija.
If you are a follower, I beg you follow good.
Make we work for better Naija.
Just like a sheep and a shepherd.
land. Divided we fall. Make we make this our great nation Nigeria great. My people, if we do better, we will chop better. If we chop better, we will live better. And true, if we live better, our pikin them will live better. And with better education and everything on the nyam. Na peace be the answer.
Jama'a samari da 'yan mata su kasa kuma abu da zan faɗa muku. Wato lokaci bai kure ba da za mu haɗa ne mu rike wannan Najeriya sama. Idan wannan Najeriya ya faɗi, ina za mu shiga, ina za mu je. Saboda haka dole wannan gaskiya ne mu haɗa hannunmu mu rike wannan Najeriya sama. Don wannan Najeriya namu ne, na kowa ce.
Namo okorobịa na gbọgọbịa n'ụlọnụmọ.
Make we work for better Nigeria.
Ọganiru n'ọchịchị ọma ọ na-eweta ịfụnanya.
Make we work for better Nigeria.
Nigeria be our country forever and ever.
Make we work for better Nigeria.
God break our troubles and give us peace.
Make we work for better Nigeria. So make we work for better Nigeria. So make we work for better Nigeria. Nigeria, so make we work for better Nigeria. Nigeria, so make we work for better Nigeria.
Muhada Hanumo, Mudaga Nigeria.
Make we work for better Nigeria.
Wage akweko ekpe.
Make we work for better Nigeria.
Wege yare magayore.
Make we work for better Nigeria.
Nigeria tuzo medao edagbara ko sona kan.
Make we work for better Nigeria.
Agbajowo ohun ememu isaya.
Make we work for better Nigeria.
So àwọn èèyàn wa tí wọ́n káàkiri ẹ̀ nísìnyí àwọn Jùmọ̀kẹ́ tó wà ní Ìgòbà ọ̀nà ni ó pè wọlé nísìnyí báwo ni ibi tí ó wà Jùmọ̀kẹ́.
Yẹmí làwà mo wà ní agbègbè kan ní Ìgòbà wọ́n pè bẹ́ẹ̀ ní Ward 5 Unit 18 Ìgòbà Ìṣìnìgbò àwọn total record àwọn tó yẹ kó as in expected voters sorry tó ti dà wọ́n ti tọ́ sí wà registered tó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ it's 663 but on getting to the point I just saw people standing and trying to ask them what is the pé kí ni nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ kó fẹnu ara wọn sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ káàárọ̀ o.
Ẹ káàárọ̀.
Ó yẹ kí ẹ máa dìbò báyìí kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀.
Orúkọ mi ni Mr. Adébáyọ̀ Fúnṣọ́. Ó yẹ ká máa dìbò báyìí ṣùgbọ́n àwọn INEC sọ fún wa pé Unit 18 polling election materials and the polling box whatever wọ́n ní òsì ni àti máa lọ dìbò. A sọ pé kí ló dé? Wọ́n lè sọ pé wọ́n ní Unit 18 tó create yẹn pé under Unit 3 ní òsì not ti káàfù out. Àwọn sọ pé báwo ló ṣe jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀? Wọ́n ní Asai Avenue and then Asai Avenue tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ pa èyí àti pé ọ̀dọ̀ wa bíbá ló wà layout tí gbogbo agbègbè mi jẹ́ orúkọ Asai Avenue lélẹ́yìí tí ara lẹ̀ síta rẹ̀ kọ́lé sí. Then ìgbà tí a pe àwọn officials wọ̀nyí wá àwọn INEC officials láti wá ṣe registration fún wa kò sí nǹkan tó jẹ́ coordinate ńgbà yẹn. But ìgbà tọ̀rọ̀ election dé nsìn làwọn gbọ́ pé coordinate kan wà ìpè coordinate yẹn Unit 3 ló ní coordinate tó fi create 18. Now voters tó pín fún gbogbo ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú a rí pé orúkọ agbègbè wa ló wà ń bẹ̀ tó pè ní opposite Sam K Nursery Primary School Ìgòbà Àkúrẹ́ but wọ́n wá gbé election materials àti ballot box nísìnyí wọ́n gbé lọ sí wọ́n ní ká máa kó àwọn èèyàn wa lọ sí òsì ní orí voters register yẹn a rí pé 663 people ló register ń bẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn tó register lọ́dọ̀ wa bíbá ìjẹ́ 568 which means they are having 95 tó register ní òsì wọ́n sọ pé kákó majority lọ bá minority kí tẹ̀ ń sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ìgbà táwa tọpinpin ẹ̀ táwa wò pé kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ àwa gbọ́ pé owó ìbọ̀bẹ́ ó ti wọ̀ látàbẹ́.
Hello.
Adé Yẹmí Làwà ó ṣe. Àìkọ́kọ́ tí wọ́n agitate fún òun náà ni.
Jùmọ̀kẹ́ àìkó tó di pé ọjọ́ ìbòde ni INEC ti sọ pé àwọn polling unit kan wà tí àwọn èèyàn pọ̀ sí pé wọ́n kó wọn lọ síbòmíì INEC dẹ̀ send text message sáwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n lè fi mọ ibi tí wọ́n ti máa dìbò ó ṣẹlẹ̀ níbi tèmi náà ń gbé lẹ́kìtì ìjọba pé àdúgbò mi kò sí polling unit níbẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ wọ́n ti gbé polling unit síbẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn tó dẹ̀ máa kó wá síbẹ̀ ibì kan náà ti máa kó wọn wá òun ni INEC ṣe ṣàlàyé ó yẹ kí àwọn èèyàn wa text message tí wọ́n gbà lórí fóònù wọn kí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí lò kán lè mọ ibi tí wọ́n á ti dìbò ìyẹn ò yẹ kó fa wàhálà.
tó ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa bí ètò ìdìbò náà ṣe ń lọ káàkiri orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà náà ni a ti mú wá fún yín tó bá yá la máa mú interview ti aṣíwájú wá fún yín.
Well, the candidate of APC, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has cast his vote now at his polling unit in Alausa, Lagos State, and any moment now we'll be bringing you his interview with pressmen.
FM 88.9
For instance, say I be the one where them give chance. Say I be the one where they make plans. For all man to benefit I be, to make me disagree, to agree to be a chance. But now I am not of importance, cause now I am looking from a distance. And that's why he give them the chance to do us and turn us the victim of circumstance. Them just they ignore our existence. They create excuse, they use excuse to buy plans. Them no one knows every day, them they use us, they play. All we get is a passing glance. Anytime we stand for resistance, when I'm in the act of exploitance, I feel we just be living in a trance, Lord. Oh my God, hello, yeah. Me what I feel, it means you feeling my flow, and then you know say it's so. Hello, yeah. In your soul, and you in a motor, and you there go slow. Hello, yeah. Feel that this thing is affecting your being and it's killing your soul. Hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. For the thing where you see, that make you hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. When we dey feel, we dey make me dey want to the hello, yeah. Even if I want to the cheat, I go still go dey want to the hello, yeah. Stand, look around you, and I bet you go want to the hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. For the thing when you see, hello, yeah. For instance, say mini ballet of Nigerians. Share I go they respect your own stance. Share I go create the scenery for better to plenty to they make me they give chance. Instead of to the fact the money go France, they make suffer to full in abundance. They make me to one run away to a place where he be say would they be like to break dance. Where them go respect my skills for instance. Where them go no go just stay they play pranks. On top the people way walk the way, well give them the key to the door to the substance. But them just they use you with the freelance. They're looting what they give us assurance. Repentance, no they their plans. See they create annoyance for my hands. So hello, yeah. Me what I feel, it makes you feel in my flow. And then you know say it's so. Hello, yeah. In your soul, or you in a motor, or you there go slow. Just hello, yeah. Feel that this thing is affecting your being and it's killing your soul. Hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. For the thing when you see, will make you hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. When we they feel, we they make me they want to the hello, yeah. Even if I
want to the chill, Lagos chill, where they want to the hello, yeah. Stand look around you, and I bet you go want to the hello, yeah. For the thing where you see, go make you hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. Make me give chance. Instead of gather money, you go France. Ain't nothing to come dance. Hello, yeah. Hello, yeah. Hello, yeah.
Akaba FM 88.9 Akure.
Here we stand as a people with one song, with one voice. We're a nation undivided and poised. We will take a stand and build our land in faith to defend what is ours. Here we are as a people with one heart for one cause. We're determined to rebuild and restore. Where freedom rises and truth prevails. Our land where there's hope for us all. Our land where there's stand up, join me, say, what a great nation.
Adaba FM 88.9 Akure.
A child in the distance, playing in the rain, the sweet sound of water flowing away, a construction worker coming home from work, two parents and their children going to church, a happy little baby. Just a man, but he'd kill his son for the price of a lamb. Now Goliath with a stone and a toy, sweet little Jesus, ordinary child, the carpenter's first son, humble and mild. If anybody told you he'd be Messiah, you probably would laugh it off. I know. So let us have a world of ordinary people living life the way God wants us to. And if we have a world of ordinary people, extraordinary things will happen to me and you. So baby has the power to be great, and every tall tree grew up from some mustard seed. No ordinary children going off to war, 'cause no single leader is worth dying for. No ordinary mother will cry herself to sleep, 'cause no ordinary father will come home after 3 a.m. that is. So let us have a world of ordinary people living life the way God wants us to. And if we have a world of ordinary people, extraordinary things. Happen to me and you.
Adaba FM 88.9 Akure.
development from there. I think Sheung Adebolu, correspondent in the state, is on the line now. Hello, to raise the noise, or maybe you stay away from the noise. Hello. Hello. Stay away from the noise so that and then focus on my voice and stay away from any radio around that place. All right. Casters Fruit will be bringing you development from there. I think Sheung Adebolu, correspondent in the state, is on the line now. Hello, to raise the noise, or maybe you stay away from the noise. Hello. Hello. Stay away from the noise so that and then focus on my voice and stay away from any radio around that place. All right. Casters Fruit will be bringing you development from there. I think Sheung Adebolu, correspondent in the state, is on the line now. Hello, to raise the noise, or maybe you stay away from the noise. Hello. Hello. Stay away from the noise so that and then focus on my voice and stay away from any radio around that place. All right.
and in terms of the arrangement.
No matter how the thing they do you, no matter how much money them they give you, no sell your photo, no need to fight oh, because your picking no go join you, they won't corner they laugh you, oh no sell your photo,
yeah. Okay. If you look at the situation, everything harsh for this our nation. Poverty rising and inflation. Line still day for the fuel station. Things gotta change, my determination. This election, no intimidation. Protect the selection, we gotta make sure everybody votes count for the future. For the future.
Don't let anybody deceive you. Don't let them take your vote from you. Now your future be that. Now your future be that. Together we can make Nigeria better. One vote, one voice. We can make Nigeria better.
No sell your vote, no sell your vote. No matter the thing them they tell you, no matter how the thing they do you, no matter how much money them they give, no sell your vote.
Them done they show their face, so no sell your rights, now follow them fight, It's over to you, so long you speak up, you so ginger, don't let anybody spoil them for you. The power is in you, don't sell them for money, no sell your vote, your right, your hope for fufu.
Yakare, wani tanadin ku sun shashare, sun share. Hankalin ku kar ya bace gaba ta fi bayuwa. Taimaki kanka, taimaki kanki mai rayuwa da inganci.
No need to fight, because your picking no go join you. They won't corner, they love you. Oh, don't sell your vote for your bad.
Mommy, daddy, CC, baby, don't make mistake today, we go spoil your tomorrow. Mommy, daddy, CC, baby, the time not come again to vote, so make we match. We go vote, we go come to work together, we go vote, we go decide our future.
Oh, no matter where you come from, we're part of a great nation, that's so. Everyone sing with me, yeah. From the hilltops of Abuja and then from the plateaus of Jos and Taraba, from the food baskets of Kotu and Ottawa, yeah, to the smiling, shining sun in Sokoto, we go vote.
with each other. Oh, let my baby. Votes are only with your PVC, man. Thank you very much.
And all my people make you listen, yo. The best radio station, don't know again, yo. 88.9 FM, 9 day radio. More entertainment, make you jolly, yo. All the information, make you listen, yo. Now it's radio, Adeyani, Adaba FM, Adeyani, Adaba. More quality information, Adaba
No, me closet. I'm repeating the whole series, I expect. Yeah, I remove the glasses. That was a mistake. No, me closet. I'm repeating the whole series, I expect. Yeah, I remove the glasses. That was a mistake. No, me closet. I'm repeating the whole series, I expect. Yeah, I remove the glasses. That was a mistake. No, me closet. I'm repeating the whole series, I expect. Yeah, I remove the glasses. That was a mistake. No, me closet. I'm repeating the whole series, I expect. Yeah, I remove the glasses. That was a mistake. No, me closet. I'm repeating the whole series, I expect. Yeah, I remove the glasses. That was a mistake. No, me closet. I'm repeating you once again, I explain. Yeah, remove the glasses too, sir. That was a mistake. No, no need glasses. I'm repeating you once again, I explain. Yeah, remove the glasses too, sir. That was a mistake. No, no need glasses. I'm repeating you once again, I explain. Yeah, remove the glasses too, sir. That was a mistake. No, no need glasses. I'm repeating you once again, I explain. Yeah, remove the glasses too, sir. That was a mistake.
FM. We're still bringing you a report on the presidential election and the National Assembly election holding today. Studio analysts have joined us, since joined us. We have in the studio with us Barrister Femi Modamori. You're welcome. We are with us Mr. Zadok Akintoye. You're also welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here, Mr. Daniels.
And of course, Mr. Moraki Ogele, another legal practitioner who is joining us this morning.
Happy election day. Thank you.
Before we get back to our reporters, you've been hearing, following development since we started. One of the complaints that people have made is the fact that some of them couldn't vote where they were voting before, and some of them are scared that the text message that was sent to them by INEC may not be genuine. With our report in this regard, Barrister Modamori, what do you suggest that INEC do in this regard, in this instance?
Well, I think it's rather too late for such people to complain now, except that there may be need for information dissemination. They would have to quickly contact the nearest polling units to know if their names are there. I'm not sure there's anything INEC could do now. They have, in my own opinion, adequately sensitized the citizens as to what steps to be taken. Citizens had been advised before now to locate their polling unit at least a day or two before the election. But I'm sure ultimately those people will eventually find their polling units. It might take time. As long as they are there before the close of poll and they are on the line, they will be accredited and they will ultimately vote. The only challenge they will have is where the distance is somehow far from the actual polling unit. The security agencies have to show some understanding in allowing some kind of movement upon such genuine excuse. But I think the blame is squarely on such voters, not INEC as far as I'm concerned. But INEC must allow those who are on the line, those who can eventually locate their polling unit before the official closing hour for the poll, to still exercise their franchise. So in such polling unit, there's likelihood that voters may vote till later than, in time than other polling units.
I think some of them just assumed, maybe when INEC was dishing out some of this information, some of them just assumed that I've been voting a particular polling unit for a very long time, and that definitely will be my polling unit. They did not bother to find out if they no longer vote in those polling units. Now, one of our reporters did call in that there was a particular 75-year-old man who said he was going back home. Do you think, maybe in a way, one way or the other, this could affect the voter turnout in some areas? Barrister Modamori.
Well, definitely such developments may discourage some voters, particularly if there is no proper and timely dissemination of information as to the nearest polling unit where they could likely find their names. But like I said, it's unfortunate. It seems to be a little bit too late. I hope probably those people had discovered that early in the morning, in which case it would be easier for them to still locate. But for a 75-year-old man or woman, it's understandable why such persons without vehicular movement may find it very difficult to take the extra step of having to, walk to another filling station. So I think that's understandable. But then for young voters who are enthusiastic, and I know a lot of people are enthusiastic in spite of some of the prevailing circumstances we have in the country, who are enthusiastic to vote, I'm sure some of them will be determined to make it 2 or 3 kilometers or 4 kilometers to the nearest polling unit. I'm sure the younger ones will find their polling units.
Okay, Zada, you wanted to say something before I go into my next questions?
Yes, I think we shouldn't blame INEC every time, but we must underscore sometimes the need to communicate effectively in a language that the people may understand. it's not
beyond radio and TV.
Yeah, beyond just radio and TV, it's not impossible that some individuals, we may think that everybody is educated, but some are not literate enough to understand that these things have been done. If you look at certain polling units, like the gentleman that called earlier, saying that their polling unit had been moved and they were told to move to another community. If you look at the community he's talking about to OC, it's quite some distance. And at this point where vehicular movement is prohibited, it may become difficult for them to vote. But I think that this particular instance, we'll need to look at it broadly across the entire state to see if it's a repeat occurrence in many constituencies, and then INEC can take note of that. But if it's about citizens being irresponsible, not to take into, important the communication from INEC, and to assume that since we've always done this, it would always be like that, then we will not blame INEC, we'll blame the citizens. But one other thing that must be said is for citizens to understand that when INEC makes a pronouncement or a suggestion, it's important, if you don't understand, to start asking questions. In elections where you have over 1,000 people in a polling unit, INEC has said that they would dissolve that polling unit into polling points to allow more people, vote as easily as possible, and that is commendable. But if you haven't seen that, okay, this thing has happened, you are not going to accept it, then you deliberately disenfranchise yourself.
Now, for those who are not, who may not be literate enough, because INEC is sending out this text message that is asking people to send a particular code to a particular number to find out where they're voting. For those who are not literate, how do they go about it?
You see, it's unfortunate. We may not be able to make INEC responsible for that, but beyond whether INEC is right or wrong is the fact that sometimes when we are communicating in a multilingual environment like this, you need to break down the communication to a language that takes care of as many people as possible. But unfortunately, INEC may have a challenge funding such at this time, considering the humongous nature of our polling, of the election budget. But I wanted to ask the gentleman before who made that call that, look, have you been voting in this particular spot location? And if yes, has INEC dissolved or moved that voting point? Because INEC never said that they would cancel outrightly a polling unit. What they've said is that if there's an existing polling unit and the people there are too many, they will then fracture that polling unit and create more polling points. INEC did not say that they will outrightly cancel the polling unit. So that's the question we need to ask that gentleman, if he's able to call in again, that did INEC cancel your polling unit? Have you been voting in that spot? And is voting occurring in that particular location at this time?
Okay, Barrister Morake Ogile, one of the features we've seen in this election, although INEC has tried it out in some other state elections, is the BVAS, the bimodal voting system, which, in 2015, presidential election results were not declared on the Tuesday. That is about 3 days after the election. Same thing happened in 2019, around 3 a.m. on the Tuesday following the Saturday when election aired. How do you think, because some people have expressed excitement that the result with the BVAS system, the results are going to come in earlier. What is your take on this?
Yes, like I've been saying, election is not a small business. So the process of election, never a small business. And then wherein you cast your vote, then thereafter you are seeing the result almost 3 days. It's very bad. Things, there must have been changing, in the process of counting and everything like that. But in a situation whereby you have introduced this almighty BVAS, I think we are going to have quick release of result of what we have cast. And let me tell you, it's a sort of modernization of our election, or the development, so to say, I can say. We are developing everything, technologically and everything we are developing. So the issue of Beavers now, I think it will reduce the days or the number of days that election is going to be released or is going to be announced. So I think the step taken by the INEC to introduce Beavers, has solved many problems. And let me tell you, not that one alone. When you cast your vote now in this unit, and you take it to coalition center, from coalition center to local government center, you cannot change even result again. That is from EC5. You cannot do it again, because by the time you are doing it, the Beavers has recorded everything over there. So moreover, that's I say it's a very positive step take towards seeing that election is free and fair in society. And about what you have been saying about this moving from one unit to another unit, you see, we have been saying this. There is a communication gap between the electorate and INEC. Now, like he has rightly said, we are having mass illiterate in this country again. Now, before you can do that successfully, you must have done this, maybe 15 days. That look, we are moving some people from unit A to B. Now to get there, going to another, no, it's a sprint entirely. So that's why I say there is a communication gap between INEC and the voters. And all the same, they cannot be totally dissatisfied. You can still stay there. You go there, or they can carry you there. You see, this is the system we just have to correct. A month to when we are going to vote, there must be an instructor in different languages. Yoruba, English, Hausa, Igbo, and everything. That is why we are going to prepare, because as at now, efficiency is still lying carelessly within the premises of INEC. So to say, but all the same, I think we are improving.
Okay, Zada, one of the things that INEC said before this election is that even with your PVC, if the Beavers cannot authenticate, verify that you're a voter in a particular polling unit,
yes,
even if your name is found in the voter register in that polling unit,
yeah,
and you have your PVC, but the Beavers cannot authenticate that you're voting in that polling unit, you'll not be able to vote. Would this be fair to those if in areas where the Beavers may not maybe work efficiently?
Okay, there's a question in what you asked, which is if the Beavers will work efficiently, then that will be the responsibility of INEC, because you would expect that each Beaver
because
that's coming.
Definitely you knew what happened in Osun.
Yes,
with the Osun
yes.
state governorship election.
Now, if it's about the inefficiency of the Beavers machine, then it goes back to INEC as the administrator of elections to ensure that every equipment brought to the polling unit is on top of its game. And INEC has said that there are replacement Beavers for each polling unit. So when a polling unit has an issue, they will reconfigure another and bring immediately so that no voter will be disenfranchised. But beyond that is the fact that election in Nigeria is a working process. If you go back, and I keep telling citizens, let's go back to 1999 and come to where we are now. We have made tremendous improvement that INEC needs to be commended. So, but we have not yet gotten to the El Dorado, and it's a process. And I'm sure within another 3 cycles of election, with constant rejuvenation of the process, we'll come to perfection. But if you come to a polling unit, citizens must understand something, and I think I take this back to INEC, having not done well enough in communicating. The Beavers machine, everybody talks about Beavers. What exactly does it mean? It's bimodal. That means it has 2 modes of identification.
Which is facial?
Bimodal voter accreditation system. Now, that is, it is going to use 2 different parameters to ensure that it authenticates you. Your facial features, which is stored as a picture on the system. Then your fingerprint, which is also stored as data on the system. So when the voter machine looks at, when you look at the voter machine, it picks your face and authenticates your face with the picture inside it. But it then goes a step further to ensure that the fingerprint of the individual carrying that particular voter's card is the same person. So if the Beavers machine does not authenticate the person, I think one of the first things that should be done in that polling unit, if you want this system to work effectively, so that we nip those who bring because I look a little bit like you, I bring another person's voter's card to the place,
Yes.
and then it doesn't authenticate, is to have that person arrested. That's what we should do. In such a case where somebody comes to the polling unit, presents a voter's card, and the machine cannot authenticate you as the owner of that voter's card, because the machine should, ordinarily, because there are two modes of verification. It must picture your face and tally your face with the picture that is inside it. Now, the system for identifying that you are the owner of that voter's card, or your face is what the Beavers machine is seeing, is a bit complex. It measures your ears, your eyes, your facial structure, the ratio of your nose to your eyes. It's a complex computer device. It does not make mistakes. The margin of error will be less than 0.001 when it comes to identifying your face. If you have grown older, the algorithm in the computer can map out your changes, because you won't grow older to the point where one ear begins to grow at a different ratio, except there's an accident. So all these things have been catered for. The machine should not make a mistake. Now, your fingerprint does not change. So when it authenticates your face, it also authenticates your fingerprint. That is why we call it bimodal, two-mode voter accreditation system. That is, it is used only for voting. So it accredits the voter, make sure that the voter's card, which is your own certificate that you are registered. People assume that the voter's card does something exceptionally fantastic. No, it's your own evidence. It's the receipt that you have registered. So when you bring that receipt to the polling unit, the machine confirms that there's a transaction between you and INEC, which is your registration. And then the machine says that you have a product to collect, which is the voter's voting paper. And you collect the ballot paper, you go and cast your vote and leave. So if anybody comes to the polling unit and the machine cannot identify the person, we should go a step further, which is that the security agents in that polling unit should have to have that person, kept aside for a short while.
And question?
And then a second way of identifying, so that we can pick out those who come to perpetrate fraud in the polling unit, have them handed over to the security agencies, hopefully get them prosecuted adequately and sent to jail. That will send a message to others in the future not to try that. But if we don't do that, it does not give our electoral process and the great effort of INEC the power it needs to do the change it requires. That's
I was watching the interview of INEC head of voter education and publicity yesterday. And he was asked about people who could have problems with their fingerprints, maybe from the kind of job that they do, for instance, farming and all of that. And he said it was not the duty of INEC to provide methylated spirit and all of that. That people should ensure that they keep their fingers very clean before coming to the polling unit. Just a minute, we have one of our reporters on the line. Hello, Patience.
Hello, Dimeji, good afternoon.
Yeah, how are you, Patience? So,
right now, only you
could you step, Patience? Please step away from the noise a bit. Step away from the noise.
Hello, are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you. Step away from the noise or you call us back.
No, just wait.
Patience, maybe you call us back or you step away from the noise. We're not hearing you.
I want to check the governor of the state there, Governor Lebanji line.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the governor ready now?
I've just cast my vote. And this is a remarkable improvement on June 18. We are here June 18 when I came to cast my vote for the governorship election. With respect to the processes of the turnaround time, this is a remarkable improvement, and I must commend that job well done.
Hello, Governor Yebanji.
Well, so far so good. There are pockets of complaint, and INEC have been informed, and I'm sure that they will respond to that. But it's not much across the states. But I've been monitoring the situation across the states, and so far so good. Everything's going on well. It's peaceful, and people they came out to defend their franchise, and I'm extremely happy with the process. How can the peaceful nature of the election? What? Well, I'm here, and I only use my word as an example. People they came out in spite of the fuel scarcity. They are hard to exercise their franchise, and across the state, turned out as the president, given the situation and circumstance we are in. And so far so good. I think I'm impressed.
Mr. Governor, looking at the technology,
yes.
Can you say we are getting there gradually in Nigeria?
Well, I think we must commend the federal government. We must also commend INEC for improving on their processes. We cannot run away from technology. It's going to make the process more transparent. The turnaround time will be faster, and it's going to make the lesson credible. And it's a work in progress. And I'm sure that INEC get on top of that day.
So thank you.
God bless. Okay.
Hello, Dimitri, are you there?
I'm here. We're listening to you.
Yes, I'm with the governor right now.
Your Excellency, good afternoon. You did mention that you received some complaints. What are some of these complaints?
Well, malfunctioning beavers machine, and INEC has been informed, and I'm sure that I'm told they have responded.
One of the things that we'll also be hearing, Your Excellency, is the fact that, before today, INEC did say as some overcrowded polling units, voters in such polling will be taken to some other places to vote, and maybe the people did not get information as they should. Some of them have been complaining, unable to find their names in the voters register where they were voting before. Have you experienced such? Have you gotten a report about such in your state?
Yes, I got such report from some wards and polling units, but what I've told them is just to escalate it with INEC. Those issues falls within the purview of INEC, and we don't want to interfere in their processes. So the only thing we can do is to share intelligence with them, and we have done that.
Just one more question, Your Excellency. Let's quickly talk about the CBN Naira redesign policy, which before now they have said will help in curbing vote buying. I quickly want to get your take on that. Do you think that could help in any way in curbing vote buying?
Well, I don't have a comment about that. I'm a member of a political party, and I know that a political party doesn't get involved in buying. I have never done that before. So those that made that allegation, and the onus to prove is on them.
All right, thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was the governor of Ekiti State, Mr. Biodun Abayomi Oyebanji, in his hometown, his country home in Ikogosi, Ekiti West local government area of Ekiti State. You've listened to him. Some of the complaints he has gotten was malfunctioning beavers, and I did ask you, Zada, I did ask you a question about that. Since INEC is saying that even if you have your PVC, even if your name is found on the voter register, and INEC officials are able to cross-reference your PVC with your name on the voter register, you just have to go through the beavers. So if the beavers is malfunctioning, then what happens?
If you go back to, I think this particular consideration or requirement by INEC is as a result of the fallout of the Osun election. The beavers have become pivotal to the authentication of results of election, particularly in cases where those results are taken to court. And INEC does not want a repeat occurrence where the beavers and the number of people that vote are not found to be in full alignment with each other. So, and I think I support INEC in this case. Like INEC said, if you come to the polling unit to be authenticated and the system cannot pick your fingerprint or cannot recognize your face, I think that that individual should not be allowed to participate in that election, except we have another means which will come as a review of this electoral process in the next election. The reason being that if the beavers does not accredit you, it means that your number, you would alter the difference between the results of the accredited voters on the beavers and then the actual votes that was cast. And we can't afford that in this election. Look, the price of one voter not voting is far, far, far less than allowing people to go through a multi-billion naira process, and then the one individual who was not verified by INEC, by the vote Beavers, now disrupts that entire process and takes all of us through a situation where our democracy becomes subject to the whims and caprices of the legislature or the judiciary, in this case. So we need to, I think, is a good sacrifice to pay. Once you can't be identified by the Beavers machine, you shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Okay, Mr. Modamori, if you look at the voter spread in this, the demographics of the voters in this election, we have the young people recording over 37 million and students recording over 26 million. Some people have said that the young people are going to determine the outcome of this election. Do you share that that opinion?
To some extent, yes, I agree. But I don't think there has been any significant change in the pattern of voters, class. I think it has always been so. In any and every election, we've always had the population of young voters outnumbering any other category of voters. That is why when we say, look, not too young to run, great. But then, without the law, you have the numeric advantage. It has always been the same. Yes, young people will to some extent determine who eventually wins the election, and I think most of the political parties have tried everything possible to cut the young voters. There are some parties that are regarded as relatively new that have been happening on, the influence of young voters. I know there is also another political party, for instance, that has tried to also bring in the population of the youth by some educational policies that seems to attract the youth, and we've seen endorsement here and there. I think almost all the political parties try to woo young voters. We have always had the numerical strength. But the irony is that there's hardly any young Nigerian who is politically conscious that has not had a mindset of which political party he or she wants to vote for. So it's difficult to have any significant swing, but the truth is that the young voters have always constituted the bulk of the electorate in Nigeria, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Well, one of the questions I asked the governor of Ekiti State was about the Naira redesign, Naira swap. Somebody called it Naira confiscation policy. I think that should be the Minister of Labor. That is Festus Keyamo. That was what he called it. One of the reasons that have been adduced for that is that it's going to curb, in a way, vote buying. Do you think that is happening now with the reports that we've been getting so far and before the election? Because yesterday in Rivers State, we had that a particular House of Reps member was arrested with close to $500,000. So even without Naira, it seems politicians are still finding a way.
Well, it may, in some way, reduce the incidence of vote buying, but I have my doubt. I don't want to talk to politics on this program. I had my doubt whether that was actually the intention behind the policy. But let's not go into politics. Today is election day. We are talking of vote buying. You mentioned the incidents in Port Harcourt where somebody was arrested with close to $500,000. Which, if you convert that to Nigerian Naira, so today, that is... You are talking of a whopping sum of about 350 million naira. Of course, investigation is still ongoing, but there is also some kind of documentary evidence accompanying the cash, stating, giving a hint as to what
the money is meant for.
It's meant for. So if you look at it, you have your fear as to whether this is actually going to achieve the intended target or the disclosed or the supposed motive. That is number one. It was not limited to Lagos. We also had a report of interception of some cars in Lagos. So it was not limited to Port Harcourt, rather. But then a governor of one of the northwestern states has also come out openly to say, look, I don't have to buy, or people don't have to buy vote with cash, that you could buy vote with food. That's the irony, and that is the truth. If we want to call a spade in Nigeria today, people buy vote not just with cash. They buy vote with food. They buy vote.
My community road was graded by a member of the House of Representatives in Naked State. Is that not vote buying?
No, I wouldn't call vote buying.
He was there for almost 4 years. He was there. No, just a minute, Zado. He was there for almost 4 years. Did not remember my community. Few days in the week, election week, then suddenly remembered my community.
Barrister Ogele was just saying that it's a constituency project. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's
from Abuja to.
Of course, yes.
It isn't. What is actually what entails
Always
is
there's
that
a vote for all these things.
What I'm getting at is that all over the world, isn't there some form of vote buying or the other? We witnessed prior to the presidential elections in the U.S. political parties taking packages to people's homes. We don't know what was in those packages. We don't know if there was money there or what was in there.
All right.
What was that for?
Look, oftentimes people assume that it's only in Nigeria.
In Africa.
Or it's only in Africa or Nigeria that voter inducement happens. No, it happens all over the world. But the character of the inducement is what differs. For instance, in the US.
So if I bring noodles to you?
No, not necessarily.
It's different from bringing money to you.
Over here in Nigeria and Africa, it's about consumables. In some climes, it's about intellectual capacity and prowess. All of these are part of inducement. In a democracy, you have to entice the electorate. You have to prove to the electorate. And so in a democracy like we have in Nigeria, where our social cultural values are such that success is primary, and that success I define as the ability to have enough money to share is the primary pursuit of the majority of citizens. Then it becomes valid that when you are campaigning here, you show the people that you are rich enough. When you want to campaign to them that you need to lead them, you come with an entourage of security officers, you look rich and wealthy. You don't look common. You don't look like the people you want to lead. You look like where the people are hoping that they get to.
So like some sort of glimmer of hope.
Yes, because every Nigerian that is coming there to say, hey, Baba, hey, Mama, is actually hoping in his mind
that someday it will be
that someday they will be like you. So you want to show them the future, that you are the future that they are hoping for. And so when you come, you also come with gifts like Father Christmas. But over there in the US and in other developed climes, you induce the people by your intellectual capacity, your proven competence. You don't induce, you can't be asking that you are competing in the US to be president, for instance. And in being president, you are not showing them that you have the intellectual capacity to run them. So
okay, just a minute, Zadok, the presidential candidate of the NNPP, Rabi Kwankwaso, former governor of Kano State, former Minister of Defense, is also casting his vote. I think he has cast his vote now, and will be bringing you the interview. The one of Raj Bella mentioned about the audio was not so. The audio is not so good. That's why we've not been able to. But we're working on that, and we'll see what happens. Zadok, please go ahead.
So inducement is everywhere. It's the character of the inducement that differs. And I've explained to you that in Africa here, this is what inducement is. The issue of the rep member coming, I've seen candidates go to greed because you don't approach a god without the kind of sacrifice he accepts. In Yoruba land, we know we have multiple gods. And we have gods.
Okay, just a minute. We have one of our reporters on that. Hello. Hello, Tolu.
Hello, I'm listening. I'm on the line.
Okay, Tolu, we can hear you. Where are you at the moment in Osun State?
I'm at Berikpe local government area of the state.
Okay.
And at Berikpe area, I think the narrative of low turnout is changing now. Because at Berikpe local government area and at Ifelo local government area that I've been to today, the level of turnout is very, very massive there. In those areas, the turnout is very, very massive. It's very, very impressive over there. And in some polling units that they are complaining about the beavers malfunctioning.
Okay.
They seriously complain about the beavers malfunctioning, but the INEC official, they are doing all the necessary things to ensure that.
Hello, Tolu. What sort of malfunction is that? Is it that it could not verify their fingerprints and their face? Okay.
Yes, their fingers, you couldn't verify their fingers, some their faces. So it's not functioning properly. And I think the INEC official, they are doing all the necessary things they could do to ensure that all these issues is rectified. They are assuring the voters that they are going to do the possible best to ensure that everything is put in place.
All right, Tolu, what else have you noticed? What else have you been able to gather?
Aside that, everything is going smoothly in some polling units I've been to also. No issue there. Everything is going smoothly.
Do let us know if there is any, if there are other development. Do get back to but while Yemi is there, he would like to speak with you, Yoruba.
Hello, Tolu. Agbègbè ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ Borípé ní Olówó kí ni àwọn kan tí orí ń bẹ̀?
Ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ Borípé ìpínlẹ̀ kan gbà tí mo pè wọlé mo ní Òṣogbo báwo yẹn ṣe jáde yẹn kò wúni lórí òun dẹ̀ pé nígbà tí mo dé Borípé yìí àti Ìfẹ́lódùn gbogbo ẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn jáde gan pàápàá ní Borípé níbi tí former governor ti wá Gbóyèga Oyètọ́lá ibẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn jáde gan ó wúni lórí àmì nǹkan tí mo dẹ̀ rò nígbà tí mo lọ sí àwọn polling units kọ̀ọ̀kan náà mo rí i pé bivas wọn máa function àwọn èèyàn complain bí pé kó má rí ọwọ́ kó má ju àwọn èèyàn dẹ̀ wọ́n ti ń ṣàròyé gan gba àwọn ètò INEC tí fi ń dá wọn lójú pé kọ́ máa yọ ni àwọn máa ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ tí gbogbo ẹ̀ máa ṣe dáadáa padà ìgbésẹ̀ gbogbo wọn kọ́ máa wọlé gbogbo wọn máa dìbò fún ẹni tó bá fẹ́ àwọn bí gbogbo tí mo tún lọ gbogbo ẹ̀ ń lọ ní ìrọwọ́rọsẹ̀ kò sí wàhálà kankan gbogbo ẹ̀ lọ ní ìrọwọ́rọsẹ̀.
A tún máa retí bí nǹkan bá ṣe rí.
Okay, Yemi, about now, the candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, is casting his vote. You can see him folding his ballot paper now, and already it's already dropping it into the ballot box. So that's it. The candidate of the Labour Party, Gregory Peter Obi, he has cast his vote, and we hope that he will speak with journalists, and then we'll bring you that interview in the course of the program as well.
tó olùdíje fẹ́gbẹ́ òṣèlú Labour ìyẹn Peter Gregory Obi ló ti ń dìbò ní ìlú Agulu ní ìpínlẹ̀ Anambra báyìí láti tí a bá rí ó sì ti dìbò ó ti jù sínú àpótí gbogbo bí ó bá ṣe rí àti ìfọ̀rọ̀wánilẹ́nuwò tí wọ́n bá ṣe fún náà láti máa mú wá fún yín.
Okay, Alani Adeboyega, who is covering election in Ekiti East, and Ilelu Okegbo is on the line. Alani,
I'm actually in Ondo East.
Yeah, Ondo East. I wanted to say, sorry, Ondo East and Ilelu Okegbo.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a very wonderful moment around here. And earlier this morning, I was in Ileoluji, so the environment was peaceful, no problem. And in fact, one thing I observed was that the people were even there before most of the ad hoc members were there. And the ad hoc members, they didn't delay anybody. So some of the ad hoc members were there as early as 7:30, and some of them were there as early as 8. So, and as early as 8:30, they began giving voters orientation, normal orientation. And those people that they couldn't see their name on the list, they were directed to some other place where they will be able to deliver their franchise. So, and from there, I picked my journey to Okegbo, where the place was peaceful too. But I had some kind of challenges when I got to Okegbo. The first challenge was that there are some polling units there that they failed to grant interview. So they were told not to talk with media, and there's nothing we could do to that.
What about the Beavers? We're not interested in that.
The Beavers where I've been to have no issue at all.
Okay.
Because I tried to ask some few people questions that what challenges are you facing as far as the Beavers is concerned, and they were kind of everything was going smoothly. In fact, they didn't have any issue with their accreditation at all, and with their voting they were okay.
All right, thank you, Alani.
And as far as security is concerned, we have adequate security. At least there are some places you will see 2 police officers. And on the road too, as we were journeying we were seeing soldiers, and they were trying to coordinate everywhere so that they will have a peaceful election. So I can attest to that. We have been to.
Thank you very much, Alani. Hold on for Yemilawa.
Hello, Boyega.
Yemi Akushao.
Báwo ni àwọn ibi tí ó ti dé níjọba àbílẹ̀ ìlà oòrùn Oǹdó
a
àti
ti dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run, kò sí wàhálà kankan bó ti wù kó rí, kò sí pé à ń jà, kò sí wípé à ń bára wa bínú. Ètò ìdìbò náà ń lọ ní mẹ̀lọmẹ̀lọ. Àwọn olùdìbò kódà inú wọn gan dùn pé ìdìbò náà ó ń lọ nírọ̀wọ́ ìrọsẹ̀, kò dẹ̀ sí ogún mi ò tẹ̀mí. Kódà tó tẹ bá dé ojú ìlà kan, àwọn èèyàn tò lọ́wọ́ọ̀wọ́ ní tí ìdẹ̀ṣe kó bóyá ń fara wa, ẹni tó bá kàn òun ló ń dìbò. Àwọn ibìkan wà tó jẹ́ wípé ṣe ìforúkọsílẹ̀ tán kó o dìbò kó o máa lọ ni. Àwọn ibìkan dẹ̀ wà tó jẹ́ wípé ẹ kọ́kọ́ ṣe ìforúkọsílẹ̀ àá padà wá dìbò. Then nǹkan tí mo tún observe ni wípé àwọn tó jẹ́ aláàbò ara, àwọn ad hoc staff wọn yẹn, àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ elétò ìdìbò yẹn, wọ́n kọ́kọ́ ń dá wọn lónà sódà wọ́n máa lè padà sí ilé wọn kó má di wípé wọ́n máa fún wọn ní wàhálà. Àwọn arúgbó náà kó tó di kó ṣẹ̀ wá ń kan àwọn ọ̀dọ́. Wọ́n tètè dé, àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ INEC yẹn wọ́n tètè dé ojúkò ìdìbò, kò sí gbogbo yẹn ń dá ẹnikẹ́ni dúró. And ibi tí mo ti rí àwọn èèyàn jáde dáadáa, mo gbìyànjú láti béèrè iye àwọn tó ṣe ìforúkọsílẹ̀ fún ìdìbò. Then àwọn tó jẹ́ pé wọ́n gba PVC wọn kódà ó wù ní lórí láwọn agbègbè ibi tí mo dé ní ilẹ̀ Olújí Òkègbó àti ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ ìlà oòrùn ìpínlẹ̀ Oǹdó tí mo ṣì wà báyìí lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Mo ṣe ń kúrò ní bọ́lọ̀ ń dúró ni à ń lọ síbi tó kàn, so kò sí wàhálà kankan. Lọ́rọ̀ elétò ìdìbò àwọn ẹ̀ṣọ́ aláàbò náà wọ́n dúró dáadáa. Ààrẹ àwọn ẹ̀ṣọ́ aláàbò méjì, ọlọ́pàá méjì ń bò mí. Ará ibò mi a máa rí ọlọ́pàá, a máa rí òṣìṣẹ́ àjọ ẹ̀ṣọ́ ààbò ara ìlà bòlú NS ẹ̀sìnmọ́mà. So wọ́n ṣàwà ń bẹ̀ tó ń rí wípé election yẹn lọ mẹ̀lọmẹ̀lọ, kò sí ìjà, kò dẹ̀ sí pé à ń pín owó kankan láwọn ibi tá a ti dé.
Àtàn àrètí bíbọ́ àṣírí ní àwọn ibi tó bá tún ń bẹ̀ wò.
Alani dúró náà, ṣé yàtọ̀ sí pé àwọn èèyàn gbé owó, ṣé àwọn èèyàn ń ṣe transfer?
Kò sí nǹkan tó jọ bẹ́ẹ̀ o.
Owó ti wú owó lẹ̀ dáadáa, kò sí pé bóyá wọ́n ṣe transfer.
Kódà gan àwọn ibi tá a dé lè rí káwọn èèyàn dúró káàkiri gbọ̀ngbọ̀n. Àwọn èèyàn wà níwájú ọ́tò lọ́wọ́wọ́ síwájú àwọn.
Kò dẹ̀ sí pé bóyá wọ́n ro oúnjẹ fáwọn èèyàn láti fa ojú wọn mọ́ra.
Kò sí nǹkan tó jọ bẹ́ẹ̀, kò sí nǹkan tó ti jọ bẹ́ẹ̀ títí dì sí o. Àmọ́ nǹkan tó lè ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ìṣẹ́jú tó ń bọ̀, ṣùgbọ́n dì sí kò sí nǹkan tó jọ bẹ́ẹ̀.
Ó ṣe Àlàní.
And ẹjọ́ challenge kan tí a nígbà tá a dé Ìgbá. Hello.
À ń gbọ́ Àlàní.
Challenge kan tí a nígbà tá a dé Ìgbá, a rí pé àwọn èèyàn fẹ́ pín sí ọ̀nà méjì lójúpò òdìbò kan. Bí àpẹẹrẹ àwọn tó jẹ́ wípé wọ́n ní bóyá ward 1A and B. Àwọn wọ̀nyẹn, àwọn kan ń rú màárín àwọn A, rú màárín àwọn B, tó yẹ pé àwọn elétò ìdìbò yẹn ń pariwo ibi ilẹ̀ ti máa dìbò, ibi ilẹ̀ ti máa dìbò. Ìyẹn wá fa àwọn ariwo tó jẹ́ wípé ó ṣe kọ́lọ̀ má yẹ ká rí wàhálà láàrin ibẹ̀ yẹn. So gbogbo ìgbìyànjú tàdé tún ṣe láti pé ká bá àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ elétò ìdìbò yẹn sọ̀rọ̀ kan tó ń sọ ni wípé àwọn ò fẹ́ bá oníròyìn kankan sọ̀rọ̀, àwọn ò fẹ́ bá mídíà kankan sọ̀rọ̀, àwọn ò fẹ́ bá mídíà kankan sọ̀rọ̀.
Ó ṣe Àlàní, ó ṣe gbọ́. So that was our reporter from covering elections in Ondo East and Luigi Okegbo Alani Adeboyega, and we've informed you that candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has cast his vote. A moment ago, he spoke with journalists. We'll bring you that interview, and we hope to bring that of Kwankwaso as well. That is the candidate of the NMPP, New Nigeria People's Party. We still have our studio analyst with us here in studio. We're still bringing you live coverage of the 2023 presidential elections and the National Assembly elections. All right, Barrister Muraki Ogele, we'll be speaking about vote buying and how this redesign policy, whether it has been effective in curbing vote buying, because people obviously now do not have access to the new Naira note, not just politicians, even common people who want to do one transaction or the other. They are not able to have access to the new Naira note. And of course, the online transaction as well is also not working very well. It appears most of the banks in Nigeria do not have the needed ICT infrastructure to cope with that much online transactions. Do you think that that policy has been effective in coping vote buying?
Yes, I think this is the first time in the history of this country that the government just, come out to say, look, we are tired about this vote buying. As far as we are concerned about this redesigning and everything like that, but I think the government has achieved 60% of what they are looking for. Why I'm saying this, there's no way you can achieve 100% when you just introduce something. More so, when it has been cultured, when the people, have absorbed this one, when it's the day-to-day activities of any election. So this is, the first time the government is going against this vote buying. I think they have tried enough to see that at least it has been reduced to at least they have achieved 60% of this reduction.
Okay, Barrister, okay. Just a moment. We have Titi Adegolu on the line. Hello, Titi.
Good afternoon, Dimeji.
We've not heard from you. Your company elections in Okitupa and Irele local government.
Yes, I've moved from Okitupa and Matirele.
Okay.
I've cited just one instance of vote buying, however, it's modified. This one is
just a moment, Titi. Hold on. Okay. You said you witnessed vote buying and it is modified. Yes. Modified how?
Modified. I think they call this one vote and transfer. It was being announced, and there's an individual coordinating whereby people just put down their names, and it's sort of like a negotiation. You already know what to do. You write your name. The individual coordinating writes down your account number, and then I think after the whole process, or maybe there's another individual who is coordinating the transferring of money and the confirmation of the receipt of such monies. But the only instance...
Where did you witness this?
This is at Orun Baton Aye Bason, Methodist School, Unit 1, Ward 1, Irele. That's the only place where I've witnessed this so far. Then I also want to talk about movements in comparison with Okitukupa local government. Back in Okitukupa, bikes were moving about, but then I would say Irele voters are more off the streets than Okitukupa voters. We don't see adults on the road here moving around, and the polling units, I would say, witness more turnout of voters than we've recorded in Okitukupa. So far, that's the update on Irele. We're moving on to other wards, still in the same local government.
Hello, Titi. How functional in the places you visited in Okitupa and Irele? How functional would you say the Beavers has been?
Well, Beavers is being in use, and not a lot of. I've not seen a lot of complaints today about Beavers. Though people say they would expect the process to be faster, but still, the queues are moving. We are visited. No, the polling units are visited.
Hold on for Yemilawa.
Okay.
Hello, Titi. Níjọba àbílẹ̀ Òkìtìpupa àti Ìrèlè.
Mo ti kúrò l'Òkìtìpupa lẹ́ẹ̀kan, mo sì ti wá sí Ìrèlè. Ìgbà àkọ́kọ́ sì rèé tí máa rí tí ẹnikẹ́ni ó gbìyànjú láti sọ̀rọ̀ owó nídìí ètò ìdìbò tí a wà lẹ́nu rẹ̀ yìí. Àmọ́ kìí ṣe bí a ti mọ̀ sí ló wá rí nítorí wípé ìrí ẹnikẹ́ni mú káàṣì lọ́wọ́, mú owó bébà lọ́wọ́. Àmọ́ àwọn kan jókòó àti àtìláwọn bíi méjì kan tí wọ́n jẹ gàba lórí ètò ó ti fi ókọ̀ rẹ̀ lẹ̀ ó sì kọ nọ́mbà rẹ̀ ìyẹn tí àpò ìfowópamọ́sí rẹ̀ wọ́n sì léde náà fi ó sì júwe bí wọ́n ó kọ ọkọ̀ rẹ̀ nọ́mbà rẹ̀ ó sì dúró bóyá ń ṣe ni wọ́n ó wà dúró gba owó rẹ̀ lọ́gán o àbí wọ́n ó padà gbé sí o tí wọ́n ó fi owó náà ránṣẹ́ sí lẹ́yìn ètò ìdìbò àmọ́ ẹnìkan wà bẹ́ẹ̀ tí ó jókòó tí mo rí tí wọ́n pe eléyìí ní vote and transfer àdìbò kó gba transfer ni wọ́n pe eléyìí o àmọ́ wọn ṣàlàyé fún mi o ní tí wọ́n rí lọ́bẹ̀ tí wọ́n fi wà rọwọ́ àmọ́ ní tí mo rí ni o nípa ètò báwọn èèyàn ṣe jáde sí àwọn èèyàn jáde ní ìrí káwọn èèyàn máa rìn kiri gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ti rí nílùú Òkìtìpupa nítorí wípé ìlànà káwọn èèyàn fìdí múlẹ̀ òfin bẹ́ẹ̀ fi ẹsẹ̀ múlẹ̀ tààràtàrà níjọba ìbílẹ̀ Òkìtìpupa àwọn èèyàn ń gbọ́kadà kiri wọ́n sì ń rìn láwọn àgbàlagbà àmọ́ ní bíbá yìí àwọn èèyàn fi bẹ́ẹ̀ sí lójú pópó wọ́n wà níbi tí wọ́n ti ń dìbò àwọn tó ti ṣe tán wà bẹ́ẹ̀ náà kì í ṣe wípé wọ́n dúró kí gbogbo ẹ̀ parí ìṣojú wọn.
ṣé àwọn aláàbòsí ní àárín ìgboro lókìtìpupa ni.
láàrin ìgboro ìrí òsè àjọ aláàbò kankan kódà láti ìgbà tí n ti ń bọ̀ tí rẹ̀ ní sọwọ́ sí mi pé kí n dúró àbí káwọn tẹ ẹ̀yẹ̀ mí wò gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni tí ń gbé ọkọ̀ rìn kiri tí ń ṣiṣẹ́ lásìkò ètò ìdìbò àmọ́ ní ojútó ìbò òun àárín ọ̀kan tàbí méjì ọ̀kan méjì bó ti jẹ́ nìyẹn.
á tún máa retí bí nǹkan bá ṣe rí níbi táwọn ibi tó bá dé.
Okay, that was Titi Adegolu, who's monitoring election in the Okitopa and Irele, and she just discovered. We've been talking about it, whether people will be doing online transfers and all of that. What do you think about this new innovation? You vote and then you do.
You see, I've said it that look, the government cannot achieve 100% in this reduction of vote buy. It's a gradual process. You see, our politicians, they are they know how to sidetrack anything.
What about the people? What about the people? Are the people not eager to collect?
Because of poverty. I don't believe it's because of poverty.
Is it just because of poverty? Because people keep saying people take money to vote because of poverty. I remember a particular incident where the husband of a permanent secretary in the state took money to vote.
I think poverty has become a scapegoat in this country. It's not poverty.
If the husband of a permanent secretary took money to vote, a permanent secretary in a state ministry, so what's that poverty?
Are you saying the husband or the wife?
The husband.
Oh, this is the problem we have.
The husband, and they were still married. Still married to today.
We don't know what is operating.
And somebody asked him, and he said,
this is the thing. We don't know what is operating in their domestic affairs. And let me tell you this. We don't know. The wife may be so very pompous.
I don't think we should give excuses for them to, on why this is happening. Look, I have said it before, that we need to sit down and review why people have this entitlement mentality. It's not about poverty. It's about the fact that, look, in our culture, the way we've been raised, somebody sent you on an errand, and then when you come back, you are still standing to, off that you give you something for running that errand. So it's about the fact that honor has become depleted in our society, where people feel that there's a reward for doing their civic duty. And I think that is because the law is not working. Look at the instance where the lady has reported that people are now doing transfers. What I would have expected the DSS to do when you are governing a society is not that you arrest 100 people. You don't need to arrest 100 people. You just need to arrest at least a few scapegoats. The individual that is transferring, a few transfers that has been done over the last 1 or 2 hours. We will go back to his system to look at everybody he or she has transferred to within the last few hours. And then you pick everybody to face the law. And no, it's not about that. Charity wọ́n bá jókòó tí àwọn aláàtò àwọn elétò
sorry to cut in. Please, sorry to cut in. We're getting a report from our reporter in Igbokoda, and Mike Akitude saying that naval officers close to the naval base in Igbokoda have impounded his vehicle, preventing him from entering Igbokoda despite identifying himself. The individual who led other officers at the spot called an INEC officer in the area who told him he isn't aware of any reporter coming to Igbokoda to cover the electoral process. That's strange, because Igbokoda is part of Ondo State, is part of Nigeria, and it's expected that people will cover elections in those areas. And Mike Akitude was accredited by INEC. He has the accreditation tag with his picture on it, issued by INEC. So we don't know why naval officers will impound his vehicle and be saying that they are not aware that anybody will be coming to Igbokoda to cover election. So this is strange. We'll be very soon. We'll speak with Mike, and we hope he can provide some answers.
Quickly on that, if there's any incident like that, I think that the police, the naval officers, and the INEC officer in charge of that will be feigning ignorance of the fact that our electoral process includes observers, international and local, and then the media. The media being the fourth estate of the realm. has the responsibility to report back. That's why we are in the studio. So I think that it will be over upon the security agencies in that place to release and not in any way intimidate media officers from doing their duty. It's a statutory duty that we owe the state.
Okay, we have Mike on the line. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Dimeji.
So you said a particular naval officer impounded, or naval officers impounded your vehicle, and then a NINEC official was called, and he said he was not aware, or he or she was not aware that people were coming to cover election in Igbokoda. Were they not expecting reporters to come over to cover elections in Igbokoda?
I don't know. I was surprised because before I got to that particular spot, I met like 3 checkpoints where military personnel being asked questions. I was able to identify myself. The vehicle was searched, and I was asked to leave, only for me to get to this point where these individuals asked me to stop. I identified myself. The junior officers came to me, snapped me with the tag, INEC accreditation tag. I showed them my office ID, and he moved straight to the superior officer on duty. And the man called someone that he will call INEC official, and he did. And he told me the person said he's not aware of any report coming to Bokota for the election, and I should go back. I was about leaving the spot when he asked me to stop again, and the vehicle impounded and asked me to leave the spot, so he would ditch me.
Are you still with them?
I'm far from them. He asked me to move away from that particular spot to 200 meters.
Well, we believe that they are listening now. The military authorities in Ondo State, we believe that they are listening, and we are reaching out to them. That our reporter, Mike Akitude, who is covering election in Elijah and Seldo, has had his vehicle impounded in Igbokoda. In spite of identifying himself, showing them his office ID and a BFM ID card and the identification tag provided by INEC. So we don't know why this is happening on a day like this. We don't know why naval officers are preventing reporters from doing their job. We're calling on the military authorities in Ondo State to do the needful and quickly swing into action to resolve this matter. Mike, do keep us posted.
All right.
Give us a machine, and INEC can be informed, and I'm sure that we will be to respond.
Maybe the people did not get information, and this some of them have been complaining on their own. When they
Yes, well, I got such report from some works and polling units, and what I've told them is just to escalate it. And those issue falls within the public of INEC, and we don't want to process it. So we need to give us a machine, and INEC can be informed, and I'm sure that we will be to respond.
Maybe the people did not get information, and this some of them have been complaining on their own.
Yes, well, I got such report from some works and polling units, and what I've told them is just to escalate it. And those issue falls within the public of INEC, and don't want to interfere. So the only thing you can do is to share intelligence with Well, I don't have a comment about this. I'm a member of the Beavers machine, and INEC has been informed, and I'm sure that I will go to respond. Yes, well, I got some support from some works and polling units, and what I've told them is just to escalate it. I like those issue falls within the purview of INEC, and we don't want to.
ṣé kò sí.
síbẹ̀ tí lọ́gán báyìí ṣe.
ọ̀gá mi wọ́n kò mí o no but you give me I tell you this ṣé kò sí.
síbẹ̀ tí lọ́gán báyìí ṣe.
ọ̀gá mi wọ́n kò mí o no but you give me I tell you this ṣé kò sí.
síbẹ̀ tí lọ́gán báyìí ṣe.
ọ̀gá mi wọ́n kò mí o no but you give me I tell you this
Oui.